Еще раз генерал, блядь! Это генерал, блядь, готовьтесь, блядь. Все, он отходит. Пидорасы, сдохните, блядь! Твари, блядь, сдохните! За каждую слезинку, блядь! Твари, блядь! Обещаю, блядь, после этой ебаной войны, блядь, столкнуться на русском языке, блядь, твари нахуй!
Сохраняя спокойствие, спуститься по лестничной клетке на первый этаж и выйти на улицу. All administration would like.
Атаковали аэропорт.
мразь, нахуй. Що там мразь? Опа. Опа, опа.
На саге, ебать!
На саги падає вверх.
Ёбаный в рот!
Бля. Сука, мразь.
Еще раз, генерал, блядь.
Okay, hopefully that fixes it. Jesus. That took forever. Alright, can you hear me now, guys? Can you hear me now? Chat. Come in, chat. Someone indicate if they can hear this or not. I'm seeing the sound level finally. Looks like this is fixed. Alrighty, so let's continue. I'll start from the top. Basically, this is an episode of NeoUnrealist. Another day, another day of conflict in Ukraine. We have various instances there of battlefield scenes from the fields. Most of those are from Sunday. Some of those from today. And let's see if we. I think I was trying to say that I especially like this guy here. This anti-tank guy. He's carrying, I think, what they call these an N-law. And just casually walking through the tank battle there. Never mind the burning Russian and Ukrainian tanks. Never mind the bullets flying everywhere. I think I'll just have a meandering walk here through the battle. Yeah, follow me, camera guy. We're just gonna have a stroll here. Let me cross this street with no cover. With the Russian tanks in contact down the road there and across that field. Yeah, let me cross this street to my comrades over here in the adjoining field. So this is a based Ukrainian anti-tank guy. Just having a leisurely stroll through the tank battle. Yeah, that was a interesting guy, but I think we need to talk about some of the stuff going on around the ground battle, particularly Putin, who I think surprised even his own generals. Keep an eye on the looks on their faces as he casually just raises the nuclear alert level for Russia.
Уважаемые коллеги, вы видите, что западные страны
Look at Shoigu. Shoigu looks like he's about to shit his pants.
Предпринимают не только недружественные действия в отношении нашей страны в экономической сфере, я имею в виду нелегитимные санкции, о которых все хорошо знают, но высшие должностные лица ведущих стран НАТО допускают и агрессивные высказывания в адрес нашей страны. Поэтому приказываю министру обороны и начальнику генерального
Now we have a video issue. Here we go.
штаба перевести.
Here, I'll cue it back to where you can see Shoigu shitting his pants.
Вы видите, что западные страны предпринимают не только недружественные действия в отношении нашей страны в экономической сфере, я имею в виду нелегитимные санкции, о которых все хорошо знают.
So what is Putin essentially saying there? He's saying Western countries aren't only taking unfriendly economic actions against our country, but leaders of major NATO countries are making aggressive statements about our country. So it isn't like the things that are being said about Russia. So I ordered to move Russia's deterrence forces to a special regime of duty. I'm not sure if that was just a troublesome translation, but the more or less what he did was take the Russian strategic forces and increase their level of alert. There are the Russian DEFCON equivalent system that we used to have. I believe we also changed ours. Used to have 5 levels. Theirs has 4, so he raised his to the equivalent of level 2. So he's basically 2 levels away from nuclear war. And you can see the top level. There were reports that Shoigu had been fired. But there's conflicting reports about that. I don't think he's been fired, but the fact that these kind of rumors are flying around, probably not feeling good for Shoigu. The important thing you got to remember about Shoigu, and the reason I think why he's the commander of the Russian army, is that because he's not an ethnic Russian, I believe he's of one of these Central Asian ethnic backgrounds. He's not really a threat to Putin to overthrow him and take over Russia. So he's like one of the few guys that's been in the government literally since 1991. He's survived like every purge, every sacking, every basically all the carnage of the post-Soviet Russia. He has managed to stay in the good graces and just keep surviving, and he keeps getting promoted by a default because no one's afraid of him because he's not a threat. You know, despite what. Put it this way: no one expects a non-ethnic Russian to ever lead the Russian Federation. So no one's threatened by him there. So I think he's kind of got that job by default. So he's pretty safe in that respect. But here you can see in the Daily Mail, even Putin's generals look stunned. Military chiefs caught in the headlights as Vlad orders his nuclear deterrent forces to go on alert with a decree that shocks the world. Valery Gerasimov and Sergei Shoigu appeared perturbed after announcement. Yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin put his atomic arsenal on standby. Let's see here. Senior White House official called it escalatory and totally unnecessary step. Vladimir Putin's closest advisors appeared perturbed when he dropped his bombshell about readying nuclear weapons yesterday. The expressions of Army General Valery Gerasimov and Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu caught on camera as the Russian president put his atomic arsenal on standby. Senior U.S. defense official said last night Putin's step is potentially putting in place forces that, if there's a miscalculation, could make things much, much more dangerous. Here's an actual translation of what he said with subtitles.
Вы видите, что западные страны предпринимают не только недружественные действия в отношении нашей страны в экономической сфере, я имею в виду нелегитимные санкции, о которых все хорошо знают, но высшие должностные лица ведущих стран НАТО допускают и агрессивные высказывания в адрес нашей страны. Поэтому приказываю министру обороны и начальнику генерального штаба перевести силы сдерживания российской армии в особый режим несения боевого дежурства.
Show you. He's got a brown stain in his pants there. Anyway. So, yeah, just to dispel any rumors, I think on one of the video clips I showed in that intro, and let me switch browsers here. On one of those, that was not a tactical nuclear weapon that was deployed. It's believed by most to be a thermobaric weapon. Obviously, if it was a tactical nuclear weapon, I'm pretty sure we would have heard about it by now. But let me see if I can get that. I might have closed it. Russian Mi-24, Russian propaganda vehicle, forces, Kharkiv. Make this be it. No, this was the large Russian transport. I mean, not transport. Early warning aircraft that landed in Minsk today. Yeah, here it is. So this was I believe to be, and you know how you could tell it's a thermobaric by the double explosion, because they're vacuum weapons. Watch the flash. First, it takes one explosion, and then it expands on the other one. So you could, obviously that's not a nuke. So after the initial flash, then you see the expanding fireball.
Ох, ёб твою мать, нахуй. Давай.
So that, not a tactical nuke, but just about the largest conventional weapons you could probably ever witness. But moving back to the original story. So he issued that alert. Obviously, Western media was very attuned to that. Putin puts Russia's nuclear forces on high alert as tensions rise with West. Code Red, world outrage as Putin puts nukes on alert, etc., etc. Now, what does that mean realistically? I'll show you what it means. This is imagery from Sentinel-2 satellites. I believe these are privately owned satellites. Earlier today shows that 2 more Northern Fleet SSBNs, that's nuclear ballistic missile submarines, commonly known to most people as boomers, departed the Gadzievo harbor. 2 or 3 SSBNs remain alongside. So here you can see the satellite imagery. Two of the subs are now missing, and here's the last 3 in this harbor, probably undergoing maintenance or refueling. So that's what the practical order is. Just more subs with the, and remember these missiles that they carry, each missile has multiple warheads, so pretty much they could shower targets with nukes. Let's see if there's anything else in the thread about. So just already the practical impact has been a couple more boomers from the North Sea Fleet have put out to sea. Per Bellingcat, leaked Telegram channels state that the Russian General Staff has ordered troops to take Kyiv by Monday, no matter the cost of human life. Please continue to provide aid and support to hashtag Ukraine, hashtag Russia cannot and will not win. So there's reports that the Russians today told civilians still inside Kyiv that they could leave via one highway. No, other than that word from the Russians about that highway that they'll allow civilians to leave. I've heard of no reports of people taking that highway or what happens to people who do go on it. Nothing really been said about it since then. It's been a few hours since they said that. And there are massive military formations headed towards Kyiv spotted. There's also satellite photos of these huge Russian, one particular Russian convoy that is now, it was a day ago, about 3 kilometers long. It's now reached a length of 17 kilometers. It's insane. Here's another picture of the Russian generals. So this was the rumors coming out of Russia that Putin fired the chief of the general staff of the Russian armed forces. Again, conflicting stuff. That's the problem with news coming out of Russia. It's like the old Soviet days. You don't know what's real or not. Even with from Russian sources, it's like conflicting. So you got the post printing. Putin fumes. That there's a lot of sources kind of reporting this kind of stuff. Don't know if it's wishful thinking or if this is accurate intelligence or not. But here's the gist of it. Putin fumes in his mountain lair as Ukraine proves hard to conquer. Putin is furious. He thought the whole war would be easy and everything would be done in 1 to 4 days. Tweeted Riho Taras, also the former defense chief of NATO member Estonia. The Russians are in shock of the fierce resistance they've encountered. Claimed the report shows they don't have a tactical plan to take Ukraine that is fighting back, stating the entire invasion plan relied on sowing panic among civilians and armed forces, forcing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to flee. Taras posted an image of what appeared to be an intelligence report written in Russian that said Putin is raging. He was sure it would be a cakewalk. So, who knows what to believe about that? Could be wishful thinking, or who knows, maybe somebody's got an in on what's going on in Putin's quote-unquote mountain lair. But this is that convoy that I mentioned. Russian convoy north of Kyiv is now stretched out over at least 17 miles. The line of vehicles so extensive that it was not entirely captured in satellite imagery. So this is one image that you can see here. They're just lining that highway. They seem to have complete confidence, at least in the Kyiv area, that they're not going to be bombed from the air. So they. I mean, you don't pack your military vehicles that close together on the road. That's crazy. If you're fearing of some kind of close air support. Here we have more satellite images. Now some of this is from they're sourced to Maxar. This was tweeted out by the New York Times. Now here, look at this one. Here, the convoy is three rows of vehicles on this road. 3 rows of vehicles deep on this road. That's insane. Could you imagine if they could get one aircraft over that and drop a bomb in the middle of that? That'd be nuts. You know, they have these Turkish drones that are actually pretty devastating. I've seen a couple of videos of the results of these. What do they Turks call them? Batayar drones or whatever. They're these very slow moving drones that they are armed, and you can't really do anything about them from the ground. So they're just murder on convoys on highways. More satellite imagery. I mean, you could see. I mean, just this particular highway on the way to Kiev is just packed full of hundreds and hundreds of vehicles, if not over 1,000. I don't know how. They are really pouring in reinforcements to surround Kiev. Let's look for that for a minute. Turkish drones. Ukraine. Welcome to hell. Ukraine drone strike destroys Russian convoy in aerial footage. This is the dramatic moment. Ukrainian military used a drone to destroy a Russian convoy from above. Footage of Turkish-made drones hitting Putin's forces has been posted online as Ukraine fights back against the Russian invasion. Chief Commander of the Armed Forces Valery Zaluzny posted a clip on Facebook saying that that's what it's called. A Bayraktar drone was used near the city of Malrin, 60 miles northwest of Kyiv. Oh, there is video of this.
О, кусок траси немає. Вальнули. Що бетер, да? Ти бачиш, вони колону КамАЗів їбали. Ну, за чимось. Та ти що, диви. Диви, яка отдача.
So those are soft skin trucks. Doesn't look like they're armored. So yeah, those things would get torn to pieces. Anyway, you guys get the idea. So those Turkish drones, looks like they could use more of those. Russia is taking the gloves off in Kharkiv. Yeah, I showed you, these were some of the last clips I showed in the intro. This is the first time, even I was surprised. For the first 3 days, Russia was relatively restrained. They did not seem to be, as a general rule, going out of their way to inflict civilian casualties. Given you have to understand that the Russians' basically reputation for being particularly barbaric and ruthless when it comes to waging war. See the 2 wars in Chechnya and the war in Syria for reference. But until today, they had really done nothing where I could say that was something ordered from the top. You had this stuff with the the little vehicle running over the car, and that's minor stuff that done by individual soldiers. Today is the first time where they actually did something where you command and control clearly was responsible, where because Putin ordered that these cities be taken by today they really opened up on Kharkiv, which is the city that they're in the north, that they're most basically on the brink of taking because it's so close to the border with Russia. And you could see they really opened up today on these civilian areas. This was an apartment block area. Got in reports of many civilian deaths and casualties here, where it looks like they just used cluster munitions, these multiple launch rocket system cluster warheads that drop these little bomblets just randomly everywhere.
Идите, я догоню.
So you can see they're not even targeting any specific target there. You know, normally you could say, okay, if they had set up some kind of military position or command and control facility in a civilian building, that the Russians might say, okay, we targeted this with a targeted strike. This was just a general area bombardment, and there was nothing there. It's just an apartment blocks, parking lots for people's cars. So I don't know what the hell was going on here. Let's see, we have other footage there. Here's one that didn't explode. This was nuts. Had another dud. Noticed a few duds in the past couple of days. The Russians might want to check the quality controls in their munitions plants, because I've seen a few duds. Here's people just walking past it. This is stupid. Do not walk near the unexploded munitions, people. You don't need to go to that particular supermarket. Wait till the EOD techs come and get rid of that. Holy shit. You don't need that churro that badly. Here's another unexploded munition that landed, it looks like in a house. You can see where it just came through the roof. I don't know if that's rainwater or if a pipe burst or something, but this he's going to have more damage from the flood than from the munition. Yes, that's true. Maybe some of these have been stockpiled for years and they're just old. Deliberate rocket attack on residential areas of Kharkiv. I think this is aftermath video of after the barrage.
Русский мир, говоришь? Это уже почти рядом со мной.
Yeah, I can't show you that. The dead bodies. Susan will rip the stream down. So yeah, so Kharkiv, today was the first day where you actually saw that kind of brutality, and I thought it was noteworthy. This one is just weird. Okay, so the Russians came into this town called Berdyansk, and the people there, I guess, decided to come out in force and just yell at them, and then they just went away. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, they didn't just spray the crowd with machine gun fire and kill them. The people shouted at them to go away, and apparently, I don't know what happened here, but they didn't do anything. So basically, they're telling them to get out of Ukraine, I think is the chant. And I think this is like the probably where the city government building is for this small city. It looks like they're just trying to talk to the crowd here. All right, so as Mike Cernovich noted, Putin did not just make the nuclear alert speech. I think, but believe it or not, the more important speech that he was giving was the speech that he gave to the oligarchs. Okay, so he spoke to his generals in one room, and he had another talk. He had the oligarchs up to his mountain lair. This is interesting that he summoned the oligarchs to where he's isolated himself. This is almost like the Führer bunker up in the mountains in Germany in World War II. He's got these people coming to him. This is fascinating to me. So he summoned the oligarchs up there, and he gave them this speech. And as Cernovich says, there's a lot going on in this video. So here he comes out. He's got the oligarchs in this big, gigantic room waiting for him.
уважаемые.
Just imagine the power that a man has to have in Russia to have all the wealthiest men in Russia at his beck and call just show up in this place in the middle of the mountains.
Коллеги, друзья, добрый день. То, что происходит, вынужденная мера. Ну, просто не оставили никаких шансов поступить иначе. Риски в сфере безопасности создали такие, что другими средствами отреагировать было невозможно. Откровенно говоря, честно говоря, даже удивлен. Ну, не на миллиметр. Я хочу еще раз это подчеркнуть. Вынужденная мера. Потому что...
Okay, so I want to read what he's saying. Here he tells the oligarchs that everything that is happening is a desperate measure. They left us no other option. They've created such security risks that we couldn't react differently. So it sounds like some of the oligarchs have been questioning him. This is interesting to me. Why does he feel he has to reassure the oligarchs?
В сфере безопасности создали такие, что другими средствами отреагировать было невозможно. Откровенно говоря, честно говоря, даже удивлен. Ну, не на миллиметр. Я хочу еще раз это подчеркнуть. Вынужденные меры.
I'll read them from him. I want to underline that was a desperate measure.
Потому что...
I believe he's referring to the invasion itself.
Могли такие риски для нас создать, что вообще непонятно, как дальше страна.
They could have created such risks that no one knows how the country was to exist.
Существовало бы. Политики.
Alright, so here are the gathered oligarchs. You can see them, they're socially distanced and masked. I think that's an interesting image in itself. You have the oligarchs in Russia all masked and socially distanced here. Got a super chat from Peter Watkins. Not to alarm anyone, but my previous IOSAT suppliers became unavailable this past week. Hope you are prepared, Neo. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. I don't think the world that we live in is going to be recognizable in 6 months. I mean, I can't even predict what's going to go on. So I found this interesting language here, that they're all masked and all socially distanced, as I was mentioning.
Тем не менее, и вот то, что Россия остается...
Russia is still a part of the global economy. See, that seems to be a concern to the oligarchs, that Russia is being isolated and cut off. So it's interesting to me that he has to reassure them that Russia is still part of the global economy, and still it is a part of the global, and since it's still a part of the global economy,
частью мировой экономики. И в этой связи настолько, насколько...
we are not going to damage the system in which we participate. So he's promising that, you know, he won't destroy the I guess the World Economic Forum that they're all cronies of. You know, they won't damage their relationships with Klaus Schwab, I suppose. They seem to be concerned about.
Сколько она остается этой частью. Мы не собираемся наносить ущерб системе, в которой мы сами чувствуем себя.
I think our partners should understand it and stop trying to push us out from the system. I mean, heaven forbid they shouldn't be allowed back in Davos. We'll learn more about what Switzerland said today.
В которой мы чувствуем себя частью. Мне кажется, и наши партнеры должны это понять и не ставить перед собой задачу выталкивать нас из этого. Мы сами чувствуем себя.
Look at the oligarchs here.
Если наносить ущерб системе, в которой мы сами чувствуем себя частью.
Oh, stop fooling yourself. Putin is all up in the World Economic Forum.
В которой мы чувствуем себя частью. Мне кажется, и наши партнеры должны это.
I think our partners should understand it. Stop trying to push us out from the system. That's what he's talking about, guys.
Понять и не ставить перед собой задачу выталкивать нас из этой системы.
But still, they will impose those restrictions for political reasons. Talking about the sanctions.
Тем не менее, даже по политическим соображениям эти рестрикции будут.
Условия функционирования этих активов по сравнению с другими видами финансовых активов. Что касается...
Со стороны правительства.
Government authorities in general should provide you necessary conditions. Now he's going to say that again, this is important. He has to rule Russia with the support of the oligarchs. Now, individually, he can overpower any one of them and throw them in the gulag, but he can't rule Russia without the oligarchs' support collectively. So this to me is a very interesting look inside the power dynamics in Russia. He does have to explain himself to the oligarchs, because this statement here would make no sense otherwise. Government authorities in general should provide you necessary conditions. So he's basically placating to them, playing to them.
Вообще, власти в самом широком смысле этого слова. Конечно, задачу вижу в том, чтобы обеспечить вам условия хорошие.
To give more freedom to business, but definitely within certain limits. To have certain...
Обеспечить больше свободы. Ответ может быть только один. Обеспечить большую свободу предпринимательской деятельности. Конечно, в известных рамках, с тем, чтобы, как здесь коллеги выразились, чтобы...
Certain predictability from both the government and the business.
Была предсказуемость определенная со стороны правительства, но мы ожидаем, что и предсказуемость со стороны бизнеса должна быть.
Obviously, we cannot forecast geopolitical risks. Again, this to me, it does sound like he's offering, rationales to people that he needs to rule the country.
Обеспечено. Ясно, что мы не можем полностью прогнозировать геополитические риски.
So, I would love to be a fly on the wall on these these meetings between Putin and the oligarchs. I've never seen one where he seems to be so deferential to their interests. So this is a description of that meeting with the oligarchs. So this is from Riho Teras, the former chief of defense of Estonia. Let's see here. Intel from Ukrainian officer about a meeting in Putin's lair in the Urals. Oligarchs convened there so no one would flee. Putin is furious, thought the whole affair would be easy and would be done in 1 to 4 days. Russians didn't have tactical plan. War costs about $20 billion per day. There are rockets for 3 to 4 days at most. They use them sparingly. They lack weapons. The Tula and 2 Rotenberg plants can't physically fulfill the orders for weapons. Rifles and ammo are the most they can do. So those are the manufacturing plants in Russia that make their missiles. He's talking about the Tula and Rotenberg plants. The next Russian weapons can be produced in 3 to 4 months, if even that. They have no raw materials. What was previously supplied mainly from Slovenia, Finland, and Germany is now cut off. Ukraine manages to hold the Russians off for 10 days. Then the Russians will have to enter negotiations because they have no money, weapons, or resources. Nevertheless, they're indifferent about the sanctions. Alpha special operations have been near Kyiv since the 18th of February. The goal was to take Kyiv and install a puppet regime. They are preparing provocations against innocent civilians, women and children to sow panic. This is their trump card. Russia's whole plan relies on panic, that the civilians and armed forces will surrender and that Zelensky flees. They expect Kharkiv to surrender first so that other cities would follow suit to avoid bloodshed. The Russians are in shock of the fierce resistance they've encountered. Ukrainians must avoid panic. The missile strikes are for intimidation. The Russians fire them at random to accidentally hit residential buildings to make the attack look larger than it really is. Ukraine must stay strong and we must provide assistance. That's Riho Teras saying that. Spread this information. So, whether this is accurate intelligence, if it's coming from a Ukrainian intelligence officer, well, right there you have a bias. So it could be maybe wishful thinking written into that. But the impact inside Russia, as the ruble was expected to crash, and the markets in Russia were expected to crash today, this caused a run on Russian ATMs. You could see here people standing in long lines waiting to get their money out before the crash of the ruble obviously hoping to spend it before the money lost its value.
Вся очередь идет. И в Макдональдс.
So again, these are Russians waiting in line to get to ATMs over the weekend.
Место. Да, все стоят.
And as you know, today, I guess Putin, anticipating that crash, decided, hey, we can't have a crash if we just don't open the market. So the Russian markets just didn't open today. But unfortunately for Russia, their energy giants Gazprom and Rosneft, they trade on the London Stock Exchange, so they could not avoid the impact of the market open today. So Russia's financial system was under siege Monday, but the country is still pumping and exporting vast amounts of oil and natural gas to the rest of the world, delivering cash in the face of Western sanctions and a financial cushion for President Vladimir Putin. At the heart of it lie two London-listed energy giants, gas exporter Gazprom PJSC and oil giant Rosneft, fund a large chunk of the Russian state and are among the country's largest employers. Neither have been targeted by major Western sanctions, which is insane, a sign of their importance in the global energy markets. Rosneft says it is Russia's biggest taxpayer, contributing 1/5 of budget revenue. Gazprom paid 2.3 trillion rubles, or $32 billion, to Russia's budget in 2020, according to the company. That amounts to around 6% of budget revenues based on the International Monetary Fund data. Wow, that's a big chunk of the Russian budget. Super chat coming in from Zero Depressive. If only Greta would have been there to tell Putin, how dare you? Oh my God. Maybe it wasn't wise for much of Europe to devise their energy policy going forward on the rantings of a young Scandinavian girl. The companies aren't just economically important. In recent months, Mr. Putin deployed Gazprom, the largest exporter of natural gas to the European market, as a geopolitical tool by throttling deliveries to the continent. European officials and analysts have said that exacerbated an already growing gas deficit and led to a surge in prices. Russia's consistently denied using energy as a weapon. The two companies' shares plunged Monday amid a wider Russian market rout triggered by Western sanctions imposed on Moscow in recent days. The ruble tumbled and Russia's central bank raised interest rates sharply. London-listed shares of Gazprom fell 55%, and Rosneft lost over 40%. British Petroleum PLC said Sunday it would exit its nearly 20% stake in Rosneft following pressure from the British government, which had cited the Russian company's links to the Kremlin and accused it of fueling the advance into Ukraine. In Europe, we are at war, and we need to consider those companies as an extension of the Russian state, said Thierry Brothers, an energy Thierry Bros, an energy expert and professor at Sciences Po Paris. The system will use whatever it has. Gazprom and Rosneft didn't respond to requests for comment. So big doings in the world of international finance and the energy sector. In other news that went little noted today, pro-Kremlin Ukrainian politician Viktor Medvedchuk escaped house arrest, Ukraine advisor says. So apparently this guy is the, if Russia were to win this war and topple the current Ukrainian government and install a puppet government, this guy has always been mentioned as the leading candidate to be the guy put in charge of that government. And I thought it's interesting that there are reports now that he's escaped house arrest and he's gone to ground, whereabouts unknown. The Ukrainian opposition politician Viktor Medvedchuk has escaped house arrest, Ukrainian Interior Ministry advisor Anton Garashenko said on Sunday, though Medvedchuk's lawyer swiftly denied the allegation. Medvedchuk, the leader of Ukraine's opposition platform for a Life Party, had been under house arrest since last year after authorities opened a treason case against him. Medvedchuk, a pro-Russian figure who says Russian President Vladimir Putin is godfather to his daughter, denies wrongdoing. Medvedchuk's lawyer said that Medvedchuk had been forced to move location due to threats from nationalist groups and had informed the authorities about them. In connection with the real danger to life as well as the need to ensure his protection, Viktor Medvedchuk has evacuated to a safe place in Kyiv, the lawyer Larissa Cherednichenko said. Medvedchuk would continue to meet his legal obligations during the hearing of the treason case, she added. Medvedchuk had been in house arrest since May, facing accusations of treason and attempting to plunder state resources in Crimea, a part of Ukraine which Russia annexed in 2014. Okay. So Trump spoke to CPAC yesterday, guys, and I thought Trump, at this speech, he made the most, spoke in the greatest detail about what he thinks about the situation in Ukraine and what he thinks about what is being done about it. And it was very interesting, guys. Let's hear the two big key portions of that speech, and it's interesting because you have the Democrats saying one thing about Trump, but yet Trump himself saying the complete opposite.
Our great military borders, murders are setting records in our cities. The streets of our Democrat-run cities are drenched in blood. A radical left zealot has been nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States. China is threatening Taiwan. Russia is decimating Ukraine. Iran is on the cusp of a nuclear bomb. We ended the worst and most dangerous deal I've ever seen, and now they want to go back to it, the Iran nuclear deal. America and our great military has been humiliated in its surrender from Afghanistan, and that's what it was. It was a surrender for no reason whatsoever. We wanted to get out, but we had to get out with strength and with dignity. And a major war in Europe may very well erupt. That's how they start. Exactly what's happening today. This is how they start. Joe Biden has turned calm into chaos, competence into incompetence, stability into anarchy, and security into catastrophe. The Russian attack on Ukraine is appalling. It's an outrage and an atrocity that...
Let me stop right there. So, for any Democrat or leftist that comes out and says that Donald Trump is cheering on Vladimir Putin or somehow is on his side, it's ridiculous. The man is, since this whole thing started, made it clear where he stands. Appalling, a travesty, an attack against humanity. So these crackheads that try to spin, on the left, it's like either they don't listen to the speech, but I think more they know what he said. They know people don't have time to listen to CPAC speeches, and they just say this nonsense and hope that people just read the headlines and won't go search through a 1 hour and change a CPAC speech to hear Trump's actual words on Ukraine.
It should never have been allowed to occur. It never would have occurred. We are praying for the proud people of Ukraine. God bless them all. God bless them all.
God bless the people of Ukraine.
Thank you. They are indeed brave. As everyone understands, this horrific disaster would never have happened if our election was not rigged and if I was the president. Very simple. It wouldn't have happened. Under Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. I stand as the only president of the 21st century on whose watch Russia did not invade another country.
Case fucking closed. I mean, these people don't deal in reality. It's always, he didn't invade Ukraine because Trump was giving it everything he wanted. Yeah, Trump was giving Putin everything he wanted. He killed 500 Russian mercenaries in Syria. He drove the price of gas to the lowest level in decades. Lowest levels in my lifetime. Almost broke the back of the Russian economy. Remember when gas went under $2 per gallon on average? When the oil companies were begging people to come take all this goddamn oil away? When they had to pay them a fee to remove the oil that they bought? So this guy, you know, when Trump unilaterally ripped up the intermediate ballistic missile treaty that caused Putin to no, we don't want the United States to have this class of weapons. Yeah, he was doing what Putin wanted. Yeah, when he was berating Angela Merkel and Germany for making oil deals on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline with Russia, saying, what the hell are we defending you for, paying for all this to keep all our troops over there if you're making oil deals with this alleged enemy? So don't let these people, blow smoke up your ass about, he was doing what Putin wanted. Putin didn't invade Ukraine on Trump's watch. He did all his invasions during Obama and Biden's watch.
Thank you. I gave Ukraine the javelins that everyone is now talking about.
The only U.S. president who armed Ukraine. This is the other. He's doing what Putin wanted. The only U.S. president. All those javelins that you see Ukrainians using to kill Russian tanks, all given by Trump. 0 from Obama, none from Biden. All given by Trump.
And millions of dollars of other military equipment. The Obama administration gave them blankets. You remember? They gave them blankets. They said, we need more than blankets. No, we gave you blankets. They sent them blankets. Thank you very much. Under our leadership, the world was a peaceful place because America was strong, and the perception of our country was perhaps like it had never been before. Powerful, cunning, and smart. We were a smart country. Now we're a stupid country. We always...
All right. So I thought the other relevant passage was a little bit later on when he starts referring to Ukraine again. Almost there. Here we go.
President Putin made his decision to ruthlessly attack Ukraine only after watching the pathetic withdrawal from Afghanistan, where the military was taken out first, our soldiers were killed, and American hostages, plus $85 billion worth of the finest equipment anywhere in the world.
Yeah. You know that $85 billion worth of military vehicles and weapons that we left behind in Afghanistan? Wouldn't it have made more sense to ship all that shit over to Ukraine? Just a thought. You know, it actually isn't when it's in Afghanistan. It actually isn't that far from Ukraine. It's a lot closer to Ukraine than it would have been to take it anywhere else. But you know, just a thought. Maybe those weapons would have done more good in the heads of Ukrainians than in the so-called moderate Taliban.
Were left behind. Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. I'd like to tell the truth. Yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, and indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take over Ukraine, we're going to sanction you, they say. Sanction? Well,
here's Trump's point. He's exactly right. He said basically our strategy was, you do the thing, and only then will we sanction you. Which, by the way, we've been sanctioning you for years, and it hasn't made a difference. Trump is like, the whole idea about deterrence is deterring them from doing the thing in the first place. Not telling them they have permission to do it, and then after they do it, then you'll do something. He's absolutely right.
That's a pretty weak statement. Putin is saying, oh, they're going to sanction me. They sanctioned me for the last 25 years. You mean I can take over a whole country and they're going to sanction me? You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically? The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
That's the whole thing. They don't put it into context. All they put in the headlines is, Trump calls Putin smart. Oh my God, he called him a genius. He called his move genius. The whole context is he's not happy about it. He's like, why is he smart and our leaders are dumb? It's not like he's saying, yeah, Putin's smart. Yeah, go Putin. No, he's saying that we were run by idiots in comparison. That Putin's eating their lunch.
Dumb. So dumb. And they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. So sad. Putin is playing Biden like a drum, and it's not a pretty thing as somebody that loves our country to watch. Just not a pretty thing to watch. You know, I was with Putin a lot. I spent a lot of time with him. I got along with him. I got along with President Xi. I got along with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un has massive nuclear power. It's a good thing to get along with people, not a bad thing. You can be very tough and get along. You know, I'm the one that ended his pipeline. He said, you're killing me with the pipeline. Nobody else ended his pipeline. Biden came in, he approved it. But I did a lot of things that were very tough on Russia. No president was ever as tough on Russia as I was. And I'd come in, the fake news would say, Trump loves Russia, he loves Russia. Then we had the Russia hoax, which is now with Durham and Mueller and all the rest, just a total hoax. It was a made-up, fictional story. But with respect to what's going on now, it would have been so easy for me to stop this travesty from happening. He understood me, and he understood that I didn't play games. This would not have happened. Someday I'll tell you exactly what we talked about.
All right. Now, he said that someday I'll tell you what we talked about. It's clear this conversation did happen between him and Putin, and we've had some leaks of what that conversation entailed. Sounds like Trump, he really wants to say it himself, but for now he's letting other people tell the story. We'll get to that.
But we talked about it, and he did have an affinity, there's no question about it, for Ukraine. I said, never let it happen. You better not let it happen.
He just kind of gave it away there. I said, you better not let it happen. So we're going to see what he means.
This is the only attack in history where the further he goes and the bigger it gets and the worse it gets and the more death that's caused.
All right, so that was the main points where Trump addressed during the speech. He also gave a Q&A afterward where he also referred to this stuff. Let's see if I can catch the relevant portion here.
Is so sad when you watch it, when you see what's going on now. Who knows where it's going? I mean, they're very brave people. The way they're fighting, it's an amazing thing. But this would never have happened. Already, thousands of people are dead. This would have never happened.
And does it make you want to run for president anymore?
This is a full 3 months of food without needing any refrigeration or special storage.
We got the emergency food chills.
I just want to do what's right for the country, and that's what we'll do. We'll do what's right for the country. At the right time, we'll let you know. And thank you for that question. I appreciate that question. You know, we also gave a lot of the javelins that you're hearing so much about. We gave those javelins when President Obama was giving...
See, obviously proud taking credit for the arms he provided, pointing out Biden and Obama gave nothing. Band-Aids and blankets.
Sheets and pillows, and I guess blankets. That didn't help too much, but we gave javelins, a lot of them too, and I guess that's helping a lot.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please, go ahead. How are you? How are you? Nice to see you.
Good. I have a question for you about one of your pals, one of your friends. Text messages were recently released from the January 6th committees.
Okay, so trying to see if there was another part where he was asked about it.
Social.
Yeah.
Would you please comment on the success of
in on 1 million people? Has that even exceeded your expectations?
I thought it would do very well. Hopefully we won't have to need that too much longer, because maybe things can end. This should not happen. This should never have happened.
And he said that he thinks that Putin killed him. Do you think that's true?
Well, that's what he thinks. I believe he does think that, and it's probably true. But he is showing great bravery. Absolutely.
Mr. President, the Department of Justice...
All right, so, I mean, thinks Zelensky's a brave guy. Clearly not rooting for Putin if he's praising Zelensky's bravery. And the belief that Trump would have done a better job is reflected in the fact that in the poll just released, majority of Americans say Putin would not have invaded Ukraine if Trump were still president. Imagine that. Russian President Vladimir Putin would not have invaded Ukraine had President Trump still been in office, a majority of Americans said, according to the results of a new poll. Survey released Friday from the Harvard Center for American Political Studies, CAPS, no friend of Trump's or Republicans in general, mind you. This Harris poll found that 62% of Americans believe Putin would not have pulled the trigger if Trump were still president, The Hill reports. The view was held by an overwhelming 85% of Republicans, but also 38% of Democrats. Over 1 in 3 of Democrats acknowledge, were Trump still president, Putin probably doesn't invade. A further 59% of voters said Putin decided to invade because he sensed weakness on the part of President Biden, while just 41% said that view did not play a role in Putin's decision. The online poll was conducted between February 23rd and February 24th, so that was like 4 days ago. Imagine now. And surveyed over 2,026 registered voters. After weeks of massing troops at the border, the Russian strongman launched a full-scale invasion, blah, 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 blah. So even the American public believes that. But what we had over the weekend was essentially the entirety of Europe, the Western world in general, and those that align themselves with it, agreed to expel various Russian banks from the SWIFT payment system, essentially the world financial infrastructure. And this took effect essentially today, I believe, which severely hampers those banks in particular ability to move money around. But they did not go all the way. They only targeted certain institutions, and obviously they did not target the two big oil companies in Russia. this was, I don't know what the meaning of this is. EU member states to provide Ukraine with fighter jets. Does that mean they're going to give them fighters now, or are they going to sell them fighter jets going forward? That wasn't made clear. It just says EU member states to provide Ukraine with fighter jets. I don't know what that means. The details were not forthcoming. But Putin appears to have overstepped so far that even the heads of state in Europe that were his fans and allies have abandoned him. Putin loses allies in Eastern Europe. So Viktor Orban has thrown Putin under the bus. All right? Czech Republic President Milos Zeman has thrown him under the bus. France's Marine Le Pen has condemned Putin, thrown him under the bus. The guy that's running for French President Zemmour has criticized Putin, thrown him under the bus. So basically, Putin has no friends in Europe anymore. He is essentially isolated, alone. I'm not aware of any major European leader that has not condemned his invasion of the Ukraine. Even guys that formerly seem to like him and view him favorably have thrown him down. Even the Czech Prime Minister Peter Fiala threw up full support for the strongest possible sanctions. So that's another guy that was always for Putin. Pavel Rychevsky, the chief judge at the Constitutional Court, suggested that a European arrest warrant be issued against Vladimir Putin. Oh, wow. Yeah, so I think what it is, you got to remember, a lot of these people don't have fond memories of a militarily aggressive Russia. Hungary memories of 1956. The Czechs have their own history with Russian aggression. So I think they don't view invading a neighbor as something they want to encourage. But we've known about foreign fighters in fighting in Ukraine for a long time now, on both sides. But there seems to be now, what was a trickle before is now turning into a more steady stream. We're getting reports now of various foreign fighters pouring into Ukraine. Usually they go through Poland. Here we have a report on a team of American and British Special Forces veterans preparing to join Ukraine's fight against Russia. These 10 NATO-trained war veterans are taking up President Vladimir Zelensky's offer for people to join in a new unit of foreign fighters for Ukraine. So yeah, Zelensky basically announced yesterday that no matter who you are and where you're from, if you show up in Ukraine, you don't even need Ukrainian citizenship, that they will arm you and put you into a unit of foreign fighters. So I guess like Ukraine's version of the Foreign Legion. So these 10 British and American Special Forces guys have decided to take him up on his offer. Group of 10 Special Ops veterans are staging in Poland, preparing to cross it to Ukraine, where they plan to take up President Vladimir Zelensky on his offer to join the defense of Ukraine, Europe, and the world, according to a U.S. Army veteran arranging the passage. The group, composed of 6 U.S. citizens, 3 Brits, and a German, are NATO-trained and experienced in close combat and counterterrorism. They want to be among the first to officially join the new International Legion of the Territorial Defense of Ukraine that Zelensky announced Sunday, according to text messages reviewed by BuzzFeed News. 2 former American infantry officers are also making plans to come to Ukraine to provide leadership for the group, the Army veteran recruiter said. As intense fighting raged in the Ukrainian capital for the 4th day, and Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered nuclear deterrence forces on high alert, Zelensky urged people around the world who can help fight Moscow's vile tactics to enlist in Ukraine's armed forces. This is the beginning of a war against Europe, against European structures, against democracy, against basic human rights, and against global order of law, rule, and peaceful coexistence, Zelensky said in a statement, announcing a decree on the creation of the new unit. Anyone who wants to join the defense of Ukraine, Europe, and the world can come and fight side by side with the Ukrainians against these Russian war criminals. The news of an official foreign unit was met with excitement by members of the Georgian National Legion, an English-speaking force of volunteers with Western military experience who train Ukrainian troops and sometimes deploy to the front line with the country's Marines. This is what we've waited for. It's very good. Levon Pipia, a Legion soldier and Georgian Army veteran of the 2008 war with Russia, told BuzzFeed News on Sunday. So did they have like a group of Georgians who just want to fight Russians, who just went to Ukraine in revenge for the 2008 war? That's interesting. So 14 years later, those guys still haven't gotten over that. UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss was quick to respond to the news, saying she supports British nationals who might go to Ukraine to fight for democracy. She said Ukraine's struggle was one for freedom, not just for Ukraine. But, okay, so they have the blessing of the British government, British nationals who want to go to Ukraine and fight for it. Thousands of foreign fighters have flocked to Ukraine since Russia's war against the country began in 2014. While most of them have been Russians and citizens of other former Soviet republics, hundreds have come from the European Union, roughly 40 have arrived from the US, and at least 12 from the United Kingdom. Western foreigners who have come to Ukraine are a motley crew. There are idealists who believe their own countries aren't doing enough to help the Ukrainians secure their freedom. There are the tourists who hop from conflict to conflict seeking adventure, war stories, and money. And then there are the extremists who have seen opportunities to link up with far-right paramilitary groups fighting in Ukraine. Of course, some of the foreigners fit into more than one category. BuzzFeed News met Aidan Aislinn, a 27-year-old British citizen serving his 4th year in the Ukrainian Marines. 4th year! Holy shit! At the Eastern Front Line in Pavlopil in January. I want to support the Ukrainian state, the people, and help them fight for their sovereignty and independence, he said. In the weeks since Aislinn's story was published, dozens of men from the United States, the UK, and European Union have emailed BuzzFeed News about the story, saying they were interested in following in his footsteps. Let me see here. Some in Ukraine's military see the foreign fighters as filling the void of official Western military boots on the ground in Ukraine. President Joe Biden has repeatedly said American forces will not be deployed to the country to fight alongside Ukrainians. The U.S. withdrew military trainers from Western Ukraine earlier this month. Alright, so just like World War II, you have Americans before America got involved with the war in World War II. You had Americans fighting as mercenaries in other countries. Well, not always mercenaries. Sometimes they just joined up. They went. There were Americans who went to Canada and joined the Canadian military, and so they could get shipped over to fight for the British. That was interesting. This is the report from earlier about the damage in the city of that was shelled Kharkiv, where the regional governor, they called him the Bürgermeister. It's almost like German for mayor, right? Bürgermeister. Says 11 civilians killed by Russian shelling of Ukraine's second largest city. Well, here's a video on that Russian convoy. Let's see what CBS has on it.
And Russian forces are fighting to take over Ukraine's biggest cities. But so far, Ukrainian troops have held them off. The much smaller force has been able to hold their cities, and now both countries are talking for the first time since the invasion. So Charlie Daggett is joining me now from Kyiv. Charlie, thanks so much for joining us. I got to tell you, Charlie, a few days ago, I was fearful of what would happen and how quickly Kyiv would fall, and it hasn't. And then in some early reports I was listening to this morning, I heard that supermarkets have opened up a little in order for people to kind of get the things that they need. So I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but tell me.
We don't need the personal interest stories. All right, so here is the latest map that I could find on current Russian gains in Ukraine. So this is the city of Kyiv, and you can see there's two army groups approaching it from the north. And you can see down in the south on the Black Sea coast, this is Mariupol, and they're in danger of being surrounded on two sides here. So right now, the only way out of Mariupol is this northwest kind of road. That's soon going to be not an option as soon as these guys link up with these guys. The guys coming out of Crimea link up with the guys coming out of southern Russia. Now, I heard today that the Belarus military has now opened up a new avenue of advance. It's not on this map yet, but they're apparently headed to Lutsk, Is this Lunts over here? I don't even know where the city of Lunts is. Lunts, Ukraine. Map. We'll find out real quick. Lutsk, that's it right there. It's just as I suspected. It's in the northwest corner of Ukraine. So that would be here. So the Belarus military is joining the war, and they're going to drive towards Lutsk. I think I have pictures of that. I mean, a video of that convoy. Let me see here. Here it is. So here's the convoy. This is, they're marked differently. You could see they have these, they don't have the Z's on their truck, on their vehicles, or the O's or the V's. They've marked their vehicles with red squares in the corners. And no, guys, it is Kiev. Kiev is if you speak Russian. Last time I checked, Kiev is a city in Ukraine, so we use the Ukrainian language pronunciation. If it was still the Soviet Union, yeah, I'd say Kiev. So this is the convoy of Belarus, the Belarusian military. These red patches on the back, their identification marker, as I mentioned a minute ago. And you can see how long this thing is. They are opening a 5th invasion kind of corridor. From what I could see here, mostly these are, you know, this is transporting infantry and towed artillery. I guess they don't have much in the way of tanks. And here's the head of the convoy. So, I don't know. Look, through this whole thing, this just must be a motorized infantry unit. I didn't see not one tank or even a armored infantry fighting vehicle. It's just soft-sided trucks transporting infantry, and yeah, they're towing their like artillery and maybe I don't think the Belarus military just has heavy armored divisions. Now this, guys, is probably the most entertaining news you're going to get out of out of what is essentially a tragedy, a war, where I'm sure many of you are familiar with what are commonly called the gypsies in Europe, the Roma people, or some people call them the Romani. They have many names in many different countries, but I guess in Ukraine people would know them as the Roma. And fairly or unfairly, the Roma people, the gypsies, they have a reputation for, you know, maybe having a sort of criminal bent, so to speak, a sticky-fingered lot, you know, pickpockets, steal your watch, steal your wallet kind of thing. Here we have apparently a group of enterprising Roma who managed to, I don't know how they pulled this off, nick a Russian tank from the Russian army. This is pretty funny. The war in Ukraine, launched by the Russian Federation, has been going on for 4 days, since February 24th. Not just soldiers, but also civilians in Ukraine have been trying to stop the Russian army from advancing. So, as the Romia.cz news server previously reported, Romani Ukrainians are also involved in the fight against the occupiers. Today, the largest Ukrainian news agency, Union, referring to local sources, published a report that Romani fighters near Kakova in the Kherson region managed to seize a tank from the Russian occupiers. In addition to the heroic work of the armed forces, civilians, including the Roma, I like how they go, including the Roma, like this is the significance of it. Even the Roma have come to the rescue. They confiscated a tank from the Russian attackers tonight, February 27th. It happened near Kharkova in the village of Lyubimovka in the Kherson region. Romea.cz previously quoted Radio Romano from Sweden as saying that the Roma are also involved in fighting with the Ukrainian army. there are a lot of Romani soldiers in Ukraine. Victor Chovka, an editor at TV21 Ungar in Uzhhorod, told Radio Romano. A lot of Roma who became soldiers signed contracts with the Ukrainian army long ago. There are a lot of Roma who want to go to war because this is a place where we were born in Ukraine, Chovka added. Romani civilians are also helping with preparation of various fortifications in their cities. In the Transcarpathian region, for example, they've been filling sandbags. Okay, so that's a funny story. I would love to see a bunch of gypsies posing on top of a Russian tank. But in other news, Zelensky reviving an old practice not seen in Eastern Europe since the days of World War II and Comrade Stalin. Ukraine releases prisoners. Before he declared the formation of that Foreign Legion. Here he introduced the reintroduction of penal battalions. Ukraine releasing prisoners with combat experience to help fight Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he will be releasing prisoners who have, quote, real combat experience so they can assist with the war with Russia. In an address on February 28th, Zelensky told the people of Ukraine that everyone who can join the struggle against the invaders must do so, and that the country is dedicating every minute to the conflict. During the announcement, Zelensky confirmed that those with previous combat experience would be released from custody to help with the struggle for our state. Ukrainians with real combat experience will be released from custody, will be able to compensate for their guilt in the hottest spots. We're gonna show you how important that is. All sanctions against some individuals who participated in the anti-terrorist operation will be lifted. The key thing now is defense. Zelensky said the decision was difficult to make from a moral point of view, but was vital in terms of our protection. When I went to the presidency, I said that each of us is the president because we are all responsible for our country, for our beautiful Ukraine, and now it has happened that each of us is a warrior. Well, let's examine this the history of penal military units. They have been in use in previous centuries. The Belgians used what were called a wood chopping platoon. It's a penal unit of Flemish soldiers that were, I guess, not following the orders of their French-speaking superiors in the Belgian army during World War I. So they would send these guys out to chop wood, which apparently was very dangerous in World War I. I guess if you head out into the woods with an axe, you could get shot up by a German with a rifle. I don't know. The French apparently in the 1800s were making use of penal regiments. Regiment Penal de Ilray, formed in 1811, disbanded in 1814. Was this a Napoleonic regiment? This is one of 5 regional penal units forming part of the French army during this period and disbanded at the First Restoration. Then you had the Battalion of Light Infantry of Africa, formed in 1832, made up of men with prison records who still had to complete their military service, plus serving soldiers with serious disciplinary problems. That was soldiers who are in the military, got convicted of a crime, and then they did their time, but then they still had to fulfill their obligation to the military. Then you had this post-World War II unit called the Disciplinary Company of the Foreign Regiments in the Far East that the French employed from 1946 to 1954. Apparently Italy had these units, but there's not a lot of detail on them. They're called Cacciatori Franchi, the Battaglione de Rigore of Genio Lavoratori in the Italian Social Republic, and then you had these Battaglione degli Imprognati. Don't know what that is. Now the Nazis are where we really get into where we're familiar with this phenomenon, where they had the Africa Brigade 999, which was a dedicated unit of prisoners, and essentially what the Nazis and the Soviets did with these units is they would take the prisoners and they would just throw them in the front line in like the worst battles you could imagine. These people were not expected to survive. Essentially, they were the literal cannon fodder. The Nazis also had one called the Durlawanger Brigade, which was SS Sturm Brigade Durlawanger, later the 36th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS. That first one was Bewahrungseinheiten 999, Strafbattalion 999, and Bauersgruppenstruppe 999 or Division 999. So you got assigned to that. It was just basically assumed to be a death sentence. Strafbattalion, another German army unit. The Soviets, apparently Stalin was impressed with Hitler's use of these penal battalions, and he formed his own called the Strafbat, which was composed of NKVD. This is the predecessors of the KGB. NKVD prisoner battalions in World War II. This was, again, just reading up on these, this was considered a death sentence. The average life expectancy of someone assigned to these Strafbat was somewhere on the order of 1 to 3 months. I mean, these were the guys that they would literally... I don't know, have you guys ever seen the movie Enemy at the Gates? that movie about the Battle of Stalingrad, about the snipers, the battle between the snipers, Vasily Zaitsev and the German guy. Well, there was a scene there. Let me see here. Not one step back. This is what this is essentially what how the Soviets would employ their penal units. They would essentially take a bunch of them and have them charge, do these suicidal charges, and then they'd set up their officers with a couple of machine gun crews in the back. And essentially, they would say this was part of the order, not one step back. The formation of these penal battalions, and I need the same. You'd have to charge. Peace of mind. And if you came back, if you retreated, if you in any way did not charge the German line, they would shoot you. I'm not making this up. Your own officers would kill you if you did not charge, even if you were okay. There you see the Russian officers setting up their crew-served machine guns to discourage anybody avoiding copyright. Well, fast forward to the point when the charge has been broken by the Germans, and the Soviet officers don't care, and they tell the men to go back. That is the order that set up the no step back, not one step back, and also formed the penal battalions. Order 227 from Comrade Stalin. The member of the penal battalion in the unenviable position of either charging to your death on German guns or going back and getting shot by your own officers. Not an appealing options, I don't think. So, yeah, they were formed by... I'm pretty sure it was Order 227. Yep. Order 227, a desperate effort to reinstill discipline after the panicked routs of the first year of combat with Germany. The order, popularized as Not One Step Back. The Not One Step Back order introduced severe punishments, including summary execution for unauthorized retreats. In his order, Stalin mentioned Hitler's successful use of penal battalions, known as Strafbattalions, as means to ensure obedience among regular Wehrmacht units. So we've had that revived now in Ukraine. We're back to the good old days, boys. But we haven't been hearing much of what's been going on in Russia. I mean, we saw that there were protests in Russia. We saw that arrests were made. I didn't realize how many arrests. It's been reported in Russia that more than 5,900 people were arrested over the weekend for anti-war demonstrations in Russia. So, Justin Trudeau up in Canada, very impressed with the way Putin can crush protests. 5,900 arrested for wrongthink. That's something else. Yeah, so let's not give Biden any ideas. We got the truckers. They're scheduled to reach the Washington area next Saturday. We don't want Biden getting any ideas. He sees Putin just arresting anti-war protesters. Biden's trying. He tried to get the Florida to send their National Guard to be his stormtroopers, but Governor DeSantis today said no. I'm not doing that for you. But listen, guys, we knew it was inevitable. We have Russia invading Ukraine. These two great Slavic peoples in this titanic struggle between, brother ethnicities. The Russians the Ukrainians are at war, but apparently it's the Africans who are the hardest hit. Yes, here we have this account, who is this? Damaler VIF, or Damaler Ara, a tech designer and operator, has managed to find an angle where Africans are the hardest hit in this European struggle between two Slavic countries.
Please don't do this. Don't do this. Они неправильно делают, неправильно.
Yes, this who knew that apparently Ukraine is full of tens of thousands of students from Africa. Apparently, going to medical school is a lot cheaper in Ukraine than it is in the rest of Europe. So you have tens of thousands of African students in Ukraine, and for some strange reason, they did not leave the country in the run-up to this. I don't know who would stay there. This is one of the few instances where you could say this is a place in Europe more dangerous than it probably is in their homes in Africa. But this has now left them in a position where a lot of them now are just stacked up at the Polish border. And the Poles apparently are like not eager to, they're doing the Drake kind of no gesture. And so these African students in Ukraine are sort of in limbo with nowhere to go. Can't leave Ukraine, can't go to Poland. So here's more of that, where they're just kind of piling up at the Polish border, unable to cross.
These are the black community. We are not allowing any black people to enter inside the gates. We are all here. It's only Ukrainians that they are allowing in. Even the ones with kids, they're not allowing them in. They even have been here for days and nobody's asking any questions. Only Ukrainian women and kids they are allowing into these gates. All the places blocked and all are full of black from different communities, from different countries. Nobody's talking to us. These are the black community. We are not allowing any black people to enter inside the gates. We are all here. It's only Ukrainians that they are allowing in.
Okay, so this is turning into a problem at the Polish border. Let's see here. We got more video. Didn't see this.
We don't have arms! We don't have arms! We don't have arms! We don't have arms! We are students! We are students! We don't have arms! We are students! 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 Take out your phones! Take out your phones! Take out your phones!
I'm trying to figure out what them being students how that will impact their entrance into Poland. Don't think it makes a difference.
We are students!
Pablo. We are students. We are students. We are dying. We are dying of cold. We are all dying of cold. We are dying of cold. Everybody go down. Everybody go down. We are dying of cold. We've been here for 3 days. We died of cold. This is unfair. This is unfair.
White point gun and foreigners.
White point gun and guns. White point gun on us.
You occupy the Russian
Please go on live on Instagram. We don't have arms. We don't have arms. We are students. We are students. On us. What the fuck is happening?
Well, we don't run.
We don't have arms.
We got nothing.
We don't have arms. We have nothing. We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students.
I think they understand. They're students.
We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students. We are students.
You don't understand. We're gonna have guns if you do not solve.
Dude, they can't shoot us off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looks like some kind of bums rush they made there at the end. What was going on there?
Nigerians now.
People on the other side, action and communication. Let's see. Oh, so we had Africans now from Ukraine now in Poland at the Krakow point of entry. So some were, I guess, were let through.
Right? There are so many. Some people are still outside. Some people are still sleeping.
My guess is that Poland wants to make sure that the people they let through are planning to travel back to their home country. That's my my guess here. They don't want to absorb permanent refugees. Crying, fainting in the cold for 6 hours. This is the state these Africans in Ukraine were under. Now they are together coordinating from the ground to make sure Africans exit Ukraine.
Make plans and cover Nigerians in this particular border. So
This
if
is
you have
us.
to call his number, I would like you to please put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has.
I just have to. Are there no medical schools in Africa at all? That you have tens of thousands of supposed medical students in Ukraine, all from Africa? Could it be? I mean, wouldn't it be cheaper to be? There has to be medical schools in Africa. It just seems like to go to such a faraway place that's freezing doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Getting buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then like we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. Like people have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
So, are most of these Nigerians? Is that what it is? Let's see here. Update from Irzad Slovakian border. So even at the Slovakian border, they're having this issue. How many of these people are there? Holy smokes. Alright, that's pretty wild, guys. I mean, I had no idea that there was so many people from Africa in Ukraine, of all places. I don't know a lot of white people that want to go to Ukraine. Here, yes, we've had reports. I know some of you were discussing this earlier, but the Nazi unit that has been inducted into the Ukrainian National Guard, the Azov Battalion, not known for their racial or religious sensitivity, have begun dipping their bullets into grease and lard in order for them to take on Chechens known to be fighting for the Ukrainians. We got a super chat from Zero Depressive. I don't know about Africa, but I can attest this is a practice in Romania as well since the time of Ceausescu, what with the having foreign students in their medical schools. But here is the ostensible Nazi battalion, the Azov battalion, rubbing their bullets in pig fat and lard so they can shoot Chechens.
Шановні друзі мусульмани, до раю в нашій країні вас не пустять. Не пустять до раю. Їдьте додому, будь ласка, бо тут вам халепа буде. Дякую за увагу. До побачення.
So, yeah, that's going on. Never let it be said that, you don't see crazy stuff in Eastern Europe. I mean... Alright, so here we have, the Ukrainians have been doing something very interesting, and, I don't know if maybe this is part psychological warfare, or part, some kind of feeling, some kind of mercy. We got super chat. Radagast. Sargon demanded I pay up. Oh, do we have the Applebee spokesman himself in the chat? No, actually, I saw earlier on Twitter, I think it was infamous Secretary of Akkad, the infamous Callum, that posted a picture of Sargon, and I noted that he looked like a Slavic warlord, like on a wanted poster for the ICC in The Hague. So if he's in the chat, say hello to him. Let me see here. I had no idea he was there. The other day I have to acknowledge. I think I was in error because I was calling bullshit on these captured Russian soldiers that were claiming that they didn't know that they were in Ukraine to kill Ukrainians, because this is becoming a very consistent story between various captured Russians. Almost all of them, to a man, seem to say that they believe they were on training maneuvers, which they were ostensibly before the war started. That they were on maneuvers, and then suddenly they're in Ukraine, and that then they're told that, hey, you're going to Kyiv. See, I had no idea he was there. Families, and apparently their families in Russia. So this is the thing. If this was just propaganda, it'd be one thing, but that these news organizations have contacted the members of these people's families in Russia, who say, yeah, I thought he was on maneuvers in training in Crimea, and now I'm getting a call from him and he's a POW in Ukraine. Had no idea he was there. Family shock at video of captured Russian soldiers. Telegram channel Find Your Own identifies POWs, much to the horror of families who did not know they were part of invasion. Ukrainian officials have published dozens of videos of what they say are captured Russian soldiers as the brutal fighting in Ukraine enters its fourth day. In one of the videos published early Sunday morning on Telegram, the Telegram channel Find Your Own, set up by Ukraine's Interior Ministry, a visibly injured soldier identifies himself as Leonid Paktishev, the commander of a sniper unit based in the Rostov region. It's funny how they name all these regions that you when you're playing Crusader Kings 3, you conquer, or they're part of your, if you start as the Rurikids, they're in your territory. The Telegram channel, which first went live on Saturday, posted numerous videos and photos showing captured Russian troops, which have led to an outcry from their families, who say they are shocked to find out about the involvement of their loved ones in the invasion of Ukraine. The Guardian spoke to 3 family members who confirmed the identity of Paktishev and said they were shocked and angry when they found out after seeing the video that their loved one had been captured. I was sent the video of my brother captured at 2 a.m. last night. I was completely shocked. I had no idea who was fighting there, said Yelena Politseva, the sister of Paktishev. In the video, Paktishev from the small town of Medzerichenevsky in western Siberia said he led a team of 3 other snipers. I know Leonid was in the military, but I had no idea he was sent to Ukraine. I don't think he would have been aware of it either, said Politseva, who went by her maiden name. Russia has so far not commented on the videos released and has revealed very little information about the state of its soldiers fighting Ukraine. The Russian military defense Sunday evening for the first time admitted there were dead and wounded soldiers amongst our comrades, but added the number of destroyed Ukrainian nationalists by far outweigh the number of Russian casualties. Asked about her brother's involvement in Russia's unprovoked invasion into Ukraine, Politseva said she was not competent to judge the decision of our commander-in-chief, but she said she hoped the fighting would end. No one needs this, not Ukraine and not Russia. I believe we can come to an agreement through peaceful means so that our sons, brothers, and husbands don't die. Politseva said that she last talked to her brother over the New Year holiday. She sent him a birthday message on social media on Thursday, the day the invasion started, and he turned 28. I saw he was not online and got a bit worried then. Now I'm so worried. I haven't slept all night. My children are crying. Our mother is in a critical state. Ukraine has been urging family members of captured Russian troops to contact them and to voice their opposition to the country's involvement in the war. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense set up a hotline for the family members of Russian soldiers called Come Back Alive from Ukraine. According to the Kyiv Independent, the hotline had received hundreds of calls since the start of the invasion. Another close family member of Paktishev, who asked for his name not to be used, expressed anger over the relative's involvement in the war in Ukraine. How else can you feel? Young boys are thrown away like cannon fodder, and most importantly, for what? For palaces in Gelendzhik? The family member said, referring to the palatial mansion on the Black Sea that Russian independent journalists have said is linked to Vladimir Putin. The family member said he received an overnight message on their Vkontakte social media page informing them about the capture with the video that was circulating online attached. The message seen by The Guardian said, Good evening. I would like to say hi from the Ukrainian people. I would like to make you happy that a close person to you is still alive. Go out and protest, overthrow your government before we bury all in Ukrainian soil. Be damned and burn in hell. Glory to Ukraine. That's an interesting message. Dmitry Selyanin, a third relative of Paktishev, The Guardian spoke to, said he'd been in a state of disbelief ever since he found out about his cousin's capture. He is a sniper, and snipers aren't loved by the enemy. In the video, we don't get to see the other snipers in his group. We don't know what happened to them, so we can only guess what they'll do to Leonid, he said. Selyanin said the family was approached by the Russian authorities on Sunday afternoon. They asked for some of the details about him. Nothing special, he said. Other reports also detail the surprise of family members of Russian soldiers at the involvement of their loved ones in a war that has been met with deep unease by many in the country. On Saturday, the independent TV channel Dozd published an interview in which a visibly distressed father of a young Russian soldier said he did not want his son to become cannon fodder, denying he had any prior knowledge of his son's involvement in the conflict. The Find Your Own Telegram channel also published a number of graphic photographs of what was said to be Russian troops killed in action. If confirmed, the images appear to shine a light on the true toll the war has had on the Russian army. An advisor to the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said on Saturday about 3,500 Russian soldiers had been killed or injured so far in Russia's attack on Ukraine. Saturday evening, Zelensky announced that Ukrainian and Russian delegations were planning to meet. Okay, so yeah, they did meet today. Apparently nothing came of that meeting, except that after the meeting, Zelensky formally signed the application for Ukraine to join the European Union. Other than that, all they've got is an agreement to meet again and discuss further after both sides consult with their capitals, respectively. Here's another article on the captured Russian POWs. Let's see what the Post has a video on it. This is Spiridonov Yevgeny Viktorovich, 11/09/85, year of birth.
Я, Спиридонов Евгений Викторович, 11.09.85 года рождения.
Когда нас отправляли, нам сказали, что мы едем как миротворцы на территорию ДНР и ЛНР.
Again, another one that says we were sent. They told us we were going as peacekeepers to the. It sounds like they lied to their own soldiers. They all say the same thing.
По факту сейчас развязалась война.
Мы здесь мирных людей.
Now, keep in mind, guys, this is video made by prisoners of war, so you know, obviously what they're saying is under duress. You can't take anything they say at face value. So I will give you that warning as well.
Ты сожалеешь о том, что ты сюда
Очень
приехал?
сожалею.
Вы с какой целью сюда ехали?
Мы не знаем
Задача
цели.
ваша какая была?
Не знаем задачи, не знаем цели. Нам вообще ничего не доводилось.
Что ты хочешь сказать?
Я хочу сказать то, что мне нужно ехать на Украину.
Alright, so those are some of the videos of the Russian POWs being held by the Ukrainians. I'll just keep that caveat that, you know, when a guy is held captive, I mean, anything he says, you have to keep in mind he's not a free person speaking. I believe that's it for videos, yeah. Okay, this article is... I don't think we need to talk about this. Schellenberger, Western elites are Putin's useful idiots. This one we do have to talk about, guys, because I've been saying this since before the war. The Bidens are compromised here. Peter Schweitzer, Russian oligarchs holding assets for Putin probably have very embarrassing material on Hunter Biden. Peter Schweitzer, author of Red-Handed, How American Elites Get Rich Helping China Win, speculates that Russian oligarchs may have embarrassing material on Hunter Biden. Think about it. Think about the stuff we've seen. Just the stuff we've seen already on Hunter Biden. You don't think there's other stuff out there waiting to drop? Let's hear what Remember, Peter Schweitzer is the guy that wrote the book Clinton Cash, exposing how the Clintons were bought off by Russians and Ukrainians. And that was back in like 2015.
A vicious cycle of rising stress and severe magnesium supplement. So a lot of different things in your mood. Stores use only the two.
We were talking about Hunter Biden's perhaps his connection to what's going on with the Russia-Ukraine conflict right now, and whether or not he might be influencing President Big Joey. And it was very striking to me how Big Joey, who has announced America's back,
the big guy,
has had no ability to navigate the situation diplomatically. Seems like everything he said thus far has egged Putin on and not shown adequate support to Ukraine and not sent a signal to the world. America is a strong player here, and it is one where you can't help but think of Hunter. Talk about what you're observing as an expert researching the subject matter.
No, I think you're exactly right. I mean, the problem is that Joe Biden's handling of the situation goes beyond incompetence, if that's possible. And part of the problem are, I believe, these entangling relationships. So look at, for example, his response with these sanctions that have been proposed. They're really not something that Russia's particularly concerned about. The challenge that we're facing is that this war has been started by one man, Vladimir Putin. He's the one that made this decision, not the Russian state, not the Russian government, Vladimir Putin. And so what you want to do is you want to punish Putin. You don't want to just try to punish the Russian government, because that really means you're just punishing the Russian people. The problem is that we know that Hunter Biden has received millions of dollars from Russian oligarchs, some of whom are connected to Vladimir Putin. The most effective way you could hamstring Putin would be to put sanctions on Russian oligarchs, those that have massive holdings in the West. And the reason is simple, Alex. Everybody who observes and follows Russia knows those oligarchs are holding money for Vladimir Putin. You need to seize the assets of these pro-Kremlin oligarchs that are operating out of London, the United States, Israel, Western Europe. The problem is, I don't think we're going to slap sanctions on those people, because some of those people have done business deals with Hunter Biden. Right. And they no doubt probably have very embarrassing material on Joe Biden.
Guys, Hunter Biden took $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's ex-wife. The mayor of Moscow is one of Putin's cronies before he died.
One and only living son.
Wow. And this is so remarkable.
Why do you think the widow of the mayor of Moscow would hand this crackhead $3.5 million? He's such a great guy?
Because I think that Putin, who is a much better chess player geopolitically than pretty much anyone other than perhaps Xi Jinping at this point. Which again, I'm not complimenting either policies. I detest them as human beings, but I'm just saying in terms of the realities of how power is wielded on this planet, they're much better at it than anyone in this country at this moment. And I do see when Joe Biden makes statements like that, it's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we might end up having a fight about what to do or not to do. He's so wishy-washy. This to me sends a signal to Putin that he gets a free shot on goal and he can do what he wants and we're going to just react to it. We don't have a plan. We don't have contingencies in place, let alone the EU and the UN and NATO, which are all, I mean, one of the UN was saying for Putin to give peace a chance. It's insane. It's like a joke. These are not serious people. And as much as I admire what Vladimir Zelensky is trying to do, I do think he's trying to bring democracy. I do think he's not an oligarch. I think he's got best intentions. He is not able to, I think, marshal any sort of support for himself on the world stage, whether that's his fault or not. It just seems to be the reality. And we're just giving Putin free passes. And Big Joey Biden is a huge part of this.
Big Joey Biden.
No, I think you're right. I mean, the two fatal flaws in, and there are others, but two that I will mention in the communication strategy of Joe Biden in this is, number one, the vagueness. He's been vague from the beginning, just talking in general terms that people aren't going to like it if you go into Ukraine. You have to be explicit. I'm not saying you have to do it publicly, but you have to be explicit. If you cross the border into Ukraine, here is what we are going to do to you.
He's just essentially repeating what Trump said in his speech yesterday, or not, Saturday night, I believe. So it's interesting. I actually do think they have compromised on Hunter Biden, because just from the laptops that we've seen, I mean he was being masturbated with feet. He's smoking crack and who has even crackheads, I don't think, have thousands of photographs of themselves smoking crack with prostitutes. I don't understand this guy. So, I believe it or not, this is like one of the silver linings that we could pull out of the Freedom Convoy stuff in Canada with Justin Trudeau. Because he was so heavy-handed with the Freedom Convoy protesters in seizing their bank accounts, GoFundMe banning people giving money, it seems like a lot of the, especially on the right, are now flexible enough where they're just going for the jugular when they want to give money to a cause, and people are just giving millions in crypto donations for the Ukrainian military. Because let me tell you something, Patreon already shut down an effort to give the Ukrainian government money to defend the country. I don't know anything about any GoFundMe shutdowns, but I imagine that it would be the same. So people have just been giving Bitcoin donations. On Friday alone, one non-government organization raised $3.4 million in Bitcoin for Ukraine's military forces. So Trudeau, in showing that governments, will sanction you, and if you have wrong thinking, they don't like what you're giving your money to, will block it or tell big tech or Silicon Valley to stop you. Well, he found out when he tried to have that Bitcoin company, or that crypto company, turn over the identities of those people and stop the donations when they told him, hey, buddy, we don't know these people. We don't know who's the owners of these accounts. We don't hold the keys. We don't control them. The Canadian government found out they have a very limited ability to stop you from donating to causes you support when you use crypto. So let's check out this Fox Business article. Cryptocurrency donations for the Ukrainian military are pouring in from non-governmental organizations and volunteer groups as Russia's invasion of the country entered its, this is 2 days ago, second day. According to blockchain analytics firm Elliptic, NGOs and volunteer groups have raised over $4 million in crypto asset donations as of Friday. A single NGO received $675,000 in Bitcoin on Thursday, $3.4 million on Friday. Over $3 million of Friday's contribution came from an unknown single donor. Elliptic notes that crypto assets allow for quick cross-border donations which bypass financial institutions that might be blocking payments to these groups. One NGO raising money for the Ukraine military is Come Back Alive, a Kyiv-based charitable foundation established in 2014 to provide technical assistance and training to Ukraine's armed forces. On Friday morning, crowdfunding platform Patreon suspended Comeback Alive's account for violating its community guidelines, noting it was using funds raised on the platform to purchase more than 1,500 tablets with software for Gunya armor artillerymen, 230 quadcopters, 45 mobile surveillance systems, and more than 60 military vehicles. The funds were also used to train 350 snipers, 2,000 sappers, and 3,000 gunners, according to Patreon. As of Thursday, an archived version of Comeback Alive's Patreon page reported total donations of $431,000 per month from 14,482 patrons. What if the MyPillow guy gave money through crypto? That'd be interesting. So, I also saw this article in the Technology Review. Ukraine is turning to online crypto crowdfunding to fund its fight against Russia. It's an approach fraught with complications given the platform's whims and proliferation of scams. Russia has stunned the world with the speed of its advance to Ukraine this week. Part of the reason is it's overwhelmed its neighbors so quickly. Beyond the shock timing is the vast imbalance between the two countries' military resources. At $6 billion, Ukraine's defense budget is just 10% of Russia's, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Desperate to raise cash and quickly, Ukrainians are resorting to crowdfunding for military equipment. GoFundMe is full of pages that purport to be raising money for Ukrainians in need, and the website of the Ukrainian Foundation Comeback Alive, a nonprofit charity benefiting the country's military, raised staggering $4 million in cryptocurrency as of Friday. So here are various Twitter posts by people donating to these fundraising efforts. And I just think it's funny. Did Justin Trudeau cracking down on the freedom convoys just push a lot of people over into crypto, to adopt crypto for this purpose a lot faster than they would have otherwise? Anyway, I just thought this is more emblematic of the decline of the West, because I noted that in this post, the guy's showing this TikTok from this Ukrainian influencer, and I noted, influencers on TikTok in the United States are making videos where they tell us that their pronouns are, Z, Zir, and Zem. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian influencers are doing videos like how to operate captured Russian tanks. Here we have this female TikToker from Ukraine. Was it Nastyatman? Or Nasty Adiman, however you say that, where she shows you how to start and drive this captured Russian military vehicle.
Если вдруг вам попадется свободный или брошенный БТР, то сохраняй лайфхак, как его завести. Включаем массу, оба генератора. Теперь втыкаем обогатитель. Опа. Следующий у нас стартер. Все, завелся! Предохранители. 1, 2, 3, 4. А теперь фары и обдув стекла. Прижимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость. О! Если вдруг вам попадется...
So maybe that's where the gypsies who stole the Russian tank got their know-how. Maybe they've been watching TikTok. I don't know. But it just goes to show you the degeneracy you see on Western influences on TikTok, and is Eastern Europe shows us maybe into a window of the world we used to inhabit. Let's see. With tragedy and destruction unfolding so distressingly in Ukraine, we should... Yeah, this is what I mean. This guy here, Richard Moore, is the chief of the UK's Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. Her Majesty's Secret Service, yes, the organization that the fictional James Bond is a member of. We have this clown in his description of the war in Ukraine and Russia. Listen to his take on it. Think about it. This is the equivalent of the head of the CIA in the United Kingdom. With the tragedy and destruction unfolding so distressingly in Ukraine, We should remember the values and hard-won freedoms that distinguish us from Putin. None more than LGBT plus rights. So let's resume our series of tweets to mark LGBTHM 2022. Oh my God. Does he really think that Russians and Ukrainians are fighting and dying in the snow of Eastern Europe for LGBT plus rights? I mean, this is insane. This isn't some rando, some activist on the street. He's an activist that actually runs MI6. He goes further. This is like a thread introducing. I had to move for the job when I joined MI6. So I was relieved to find out there was an LGBT plus network group. Through the group, I've made some great friends in the office, and it's reassuring to know it's there for support if I need it. I would almost think this guy's a Russian double agent trying to demoralize the Ukrainians. Is this guy going to claim that the guys that stormed the shore at at the beaches in Normandy were charging German machine gun nests for LGBT rights? Yeah, maybe exactly. Maybe he's doing a joint fellowship with General Milley over there, researching white rage. Someone posted this picture. I don't know who this lady is, but apparently she's posing on the deck of the United Kingdom's aircraft carrier. I believe that's the HMS Queen Elizabeth II, is it? Queen Elizabeth II? And I don't know who this woman is. Does anyone in the chat know who this ridiculous woman is? Posing on the deck of the Her Majesty's ship, the QE2. Maybe she's like the Ministry of Defense. I don't know who's the head's the Ministry of Defense in the UK. Could she be their head of their defense? I don't know about you, but I look at this. This does not inspire. This does not inspire confidence in the Royal Navy to me. I don't know. What is this? Could we have a little just a little toxic masculinity in the Royal Navy? Is there no men left in the Royal Navy? Oh my God. Okay, she's Liz Truss, the UK Foreign Secretary. What is she even doing there? Where is the Queen Elizabeth these days? Let me see something. HMS Queen Elizabeth. "13 days ago, 16 days ago, 23 days ago." We have nothing more current than 16 days ago. U.S. Marine British F-35Bs flew seamlessly with Israeli, Italian, Japanese F-35s during Queen Elizabeth deployment. This was 13 days ago, so let's see where the QE2 was. U.S. Marine Corps Brigadier General Simon Doran, U.S. Senior National Representative to the United Kingdom Carrier Strike Group 21, and Royal Navy Commodore Steve Morehouse, Commander of CSG-21, stand in front of a Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 211 F-35B Lightning II aboard HMS Queen Elizabeth in the South China Sea. Okay, so they're really nowhere near the area of operation of the war in Ukraine. So I guess they must have been doing some kind of fleet training. The senior U.S. officer embarked on last year's deployment of the Royal Navy aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth. Also flew the F-35B Lightning strike fighters from the ship. Praised the F-35. Yeah, they were in the South China. They're in the South China Sea 13 days ago. Doesn't mean they're there now. I'm not aware of where they are. I'd have to do a little research to find out where it is today. But I just thought this is distressing if this is the image that the Royal Navy wants to focus on. To display their strength in this time of war. Or potential war. Here I have to issue an update to the story. The soldiers of Snake Island, or referred to as the heroes of Snake Island, as you may have seen in one of my previous videos, they've now been confirmed that they were taken alive, guys. So apparently there was a bit of fake news involved. They were not killed by the Russian warship. So here we have the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. The first confirmation they gave that the garrison of Snake Island was alive and had surrendered to Russian troops. Now here, initially, where this story came into question was when the Russian Navy showed these images of the garrison at Snake Island being taken off of this, I think it's a Russian destroyer, when you could see that there were a lot of guys here. I think that they said, the Russians said they had 85 prisoners from Snake Island. So that left open the possibility, well, maybe these are the guys that surrendered, and the 13 that they were talking about, maybe they're the ones that refused to surrender, stayed behind, and got killed. So for about a day, that was the situation. So here's what that looked like. As you can see, they exit the ship, they're handed a bottle of water, and they're taken to wherever it is they're held as prisoners of war. Alright, so then now the Ukrainians have come out and yes, confirmed that the men who actually who said go fuck yourself to the Russian warship, that they are alive. So that was the important thing. I was like, well, if the Russians have remember, we have the faces. We know who the people were that said go fuck yourself. So I was waiting for the Russians to show them. But I'm going to take the word of the Ukrainian government when they say that they believe they're alive. Why would they lie about that if it doesn't serve their their propaganda cause? So if they're saying that they are the men that the 13 were among these prisoners, I guess we'll have to take their word for it, because obviously we don't have access to a Russian POW camp wherever they're holding these guys. I think they're being held in either Mariupol or where did that Russian ship dock? Oh, it doesn't say. Couldn't be Mariupol. They haven't captured it yet. Yeah, so this guy right here, he's the guy in the video clip. So I was waiting for the Russians to put him on. They have not as of yet. So it'll be interesting to hear from him what actually happened. All right, so let's move on to the more general news. And I mentioned to you guys just a little bit ago about Justin Trudeau. Now, not only did I want to talk about the potential that he made for making it harder to block right-wing dissidents' funding. It appears that Justin Trudeau may have created what they're calling a dangerous run on Canadian banks by freezing the protesters' bank accounts. Because remember, I was showing you that initial activity of money being taken out of the Canadian banks right after Trudeau made that announcement. Well, it looks like that continued. This is the article describing this phenomenon in Canadian banks who are losing a lot of money in deposits. According to the Canadian financial blog Armstrong Economics, the emergency powers activated by Justin Trudeau to cripple the trucker protests have sparked panic among citizens, which could lead to a devastating financial crisis. On February 14th, Trudeau enacted the Emergencies Act, enabling Canadian banks to freeze assets of anyone who donated to protests against the vaccine mandates without due process or any court action. Gee, I'm shocked that Canadian people that do bank in Canada would be concerned about an order that says without any due process your money can be frozen. Trudeau then ordered the banks to unfreeze the accounts after the protests has been cleared away, but what is reported to have happened after that is being ignored by the corporate press. Armstrong Economics says there was a stunning run on banks across Canada as scared citizens are withdrawing their life savings and transferring it to foreign banks in the United States and elsewhere. The sheer amount of money withdrawals from Canadian banks was massive. from Canadian banks. There appears to have been a 500% increase just in the previous 24 hours. This is the problem with politicians. They're simply unqualified to make such decisions. They have no idea that freezing accounts will undermine confidence in the banking system. Trudeau has created a very serious crisis, and just rescinding his Emergency Act is not going to make it all better. Trudeau has driven a stake through the heart of the Canadian economy, and that means the international capital will be skeptical about trusting Canada as long as Trudeau is in power. Personal anecdotes responding to the Twitter thread also show Canadians are having trouble removing their money from the banks, and that the feeling at the banks is very strange. One user said, "The bank TD," which is a Canadian bank, "told me to come back Monday. My daily cash withdrawal was denied Friday. I've taken out larger amounts every day." Another said it was absolutely true. The lines were out the doors, and a bank teller told me at one branch not to visit a specific branch because they'd run out of funds that day. It's very real. The energy inside the bank was clearly not good. Trudeau has been forced to abandon his Emergency Act as a staggering amount of money has fled Canadian banks. Canadians have moved accounts to the United States by the tens of thousands following Trudeau's freezing of bank accounts without a court order. One of the protesters whose accounts were frozen announced his intention to withdraw all of his money from the Canadian banking system. "My bank accounts have been unfrozen," wrote Tom Marazzo. "Tomorrow I'll close all of my BMO accounts after withdrawing my money." Several people have responded they are doing the same. PJ Media reached out to Scotiabank to ask if they have put a $2,000 limit on withdrawals, as is being reported by customers on Twitter, but received no response by the time of publishing. If it's true that Canadians are panicking and withdrawing all their money from Canadian banks, then this is a huge story, and yet it's one the corporate media doesn't seem interested in at all. There isn't one report in any corporate press about any of this. A post at The Last Refuge, which used to be the Conservative Treehouse, speculates that yes, it's happening and the powers that be don't want you to know about it. If I was a betting person, I'd bet half my stake that something very serious is happening in the background of the Canadian financial system, and it appears the leaders inside government as well as leaders in the international financial community are reacting and trying to keep things quiet. The writer suggests that Trudeau's heavy-handed approach to citizen control was a big mistake. He alerted the public to the power of the bankers, and the bankers didn't like that one bit. These tools of citizen control are things well known to the central bankers and control agents of finance, but are never spoken about in polite company, let alone publicized, promoted, and openly bragged about. Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland essentially broke the financial code of omerta by highlighting how easy it for governments to seize your bank accounts, credit cards, and retirement accounts, insurance, mortgages, loan access, and cut you off from money. Jordan Peterson, famed Canadian philosopher, is that you have to describe him as that now. He had to leave his job as at the Department of Psychology at the University of Toronto. I mean, basically couldn't be a professor anymore. Says he's been in contact with a reliable source in the Canadian military who advised him to take his money out of the Canadian banking system because the situation is far worse than anything is being told. He's absolutely right. If Jordan Peterson says something that Justin Trudeau doesn't approve of, what would stop him from freezing Jordan Peterson's accounts?
So this morning, I don't know what to make of all of this because it's happening so quickly. I can't believe the state to which the country has degenerated. I've been in contact with a reliable source within the Canadian military, and he told me today by email that if I had any sense, I'd take my money out of the Canadian banks because the situation is far worse than I've been informed. And so that's just one of many such messages I receive on a daily basis. So let's talk about the bank. So here's what our Prime Minister did last week. He permanently destroyed 20% of the population's faith in the entire Canadian banking system and stained the Canadian banking system's international reputation, I would say, for decades. And in any normal time, that in itself would have been enough to constitute sufficient grounds for a non-confidence vote for the government to be ousted. And that's only one of the 7 things that happened last week that are of that magnitude. You can't even keep up with them. And so
so the Canadian philosopher is letting us know that something's rotten in the state of Denmark, or in this case Canada, and getting nervous about keeping his funds in Canadian banks. I'm interested to see if Jordan Peterson moves his money. We have an incoming super chat from Sniper Site 00. They need to take all their money out of the banks and invest in avocados if they're smart. Oh, you saw that. You saw my live stream on the green gold avocados. Yeah, the Mexican drug cartels making a lot of money smuggling those little green fruits. So we have the kinder, gentler Taliban now going house to house to forcibly disarm its subjects. In Ukraine, they're handing out free guns to anybody who shows up, including non-citizens. You know, but obviously, when you take power in the country, the first move you make is to disarm the citizens. So we have the Second Amendment in reverse going on in Afghanistan as they go around house to house looking for all the guns of the people not immediately under their in their membership. Pretty hard to tell the Taliban you had a tragic boating accident. Not a lot of lakes and rivers to lose your Kalashnikovs in Afghanistan. Looks like someone's learning a lesson from the courage of Ukrainians, albeit the wrong one. In the midst of a rousing national defense against Russian invasion, Ukrainians have used access to firearms to stymie a supposedly world-class military for days, successfully defending its major population centers. But the Taliban have taken note of that and plan to strip their subjects of that power. Guns drawn, half a dozen Taliban fighters crowded into the house of a Kabul laborer Saturday. As the commander watched, his men took knives to the cushions that lined the family sitting room, splitting them open and dumping the stuffing onto the floor. Others pulled family photos off the shelves and tossed clothing out of the closets. Said they were looking for weapons, said the laborer's wife, who listened to the exchange from a room in the back of the house. They said, "We know you had relations with the former regime, but my husband never worked for the government." The wife, like others in this report, spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisal. After finding nothing, the fighters beat the laborer's adolescent son and confiscated a family car. Such raids, part of a massive search operation launched in Kabul and surrounding districts Friday, according to the Ministry of Interior, mark a significant shift in how the group enforces security. When raids were announced occurred in the past, they were generally not announced and largely conducted at night to reduce visibility. This operation is being carried out in broad daylight. We have a thank you for the super chat, Shakes M. So the Taliban doing the reverse, going house to house and saying, "Give us your guns." In other news, a judge has formally ruled that race-based admission standards at a Virginia high school, which this Virginia high school, remember, this Thomas Jefferson Science and Technology High School, ranked the #1 high school in the entire United States, had a merit-based admissions test where you took a test and the students who scored the best on the test got let in. Well, this led to the student population being about over 70% Asian. I believe it was 73%. And the forces of diversion, equity, and inclusion decided that was racist, and they eliminated the admissions test to this school. And the Asian parents in this Virginia district sued. And apparently the judge agreed with them. A federal judge ruled Friday that a Virginia school system illegally discriminated against Asian Americans when it overhauled the admissions policies in an elite public school. The ruling from U.S. District Judge Claude Hilton, I believe this is an Obama appointee as well, found that impermissible racial balancing was at the core of the plan to overhaul admissions to Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, known as TJ. The school routinely ranks as the best or one of the best public schools in the country, and slots at the school are highly competitive. In 2020, the Fairfax County School Board significantly revamped the admissions process at the school. A standardized test that had been a linchpin of the admissions process was scrapped in favor of a system that set aside equal numbers of TJ slots at each of the county's middle schools, among other changes. So, CRT advocates and leftists in general reeing at the decision. But forget that decision about the local school. This has already infected the federal government, guys. Now under Biden, this CRT mindset is being made into official policy and training in the federal government, in these agencies, saying that you're colorblind is racist. A newly revealed federal diversity program greatly expands earlier critical race training by creating a whole new minefield of microaggressions that some could believe are stereotypes and racism. In the training package used at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, for example, offering a black student a basketball should be considered offensive. Not only are federal workers urged to consider what they say, but also how their comments are received. In one chart, a white male is shown saying he's colorblind. The black woman shown beside, however, takes as an insult that the white is denying her racial/cultural being. And it advised men, don't interrupt a woman speaking because they hear women's ideas are not valued. So never mind what you're actually saying, the content, your intent. The only thing that matters is this person's perception of such, and you have to accept that, and that's now official rule, the official rule of the federal government. The document was prepared by the agency's Office of Civil Rights and obtained by Judicial Watch. It urged federal workers to blow the whistle when they hear racial or offensive microaggressions. Also asks accusers to give the perpetrator space to unpack his or her errors. So you have to, subject yourself to this struggle session. And the training package is just the latest example of federal, state, and local governments pushing well past traditional training handbooks to eliminate offenses, real and perceived. And look at this picture right here. Many microaggressions are rooted in offensive stereotypes. I mean, this is insane. Here we have just, it looks like a Native American girl, and people just handing her Indian items for no apparent reason. I don't know in what workplace you would hand a Mexican woman a sombrero. I don't know what. Here we have people offering basketballs and fried chicken to a black individual. Here we have a woman. Yeah, we're going to offer a woman a lip balm if she's wearing a hijab. Can you imagine this? This is something put out by your tax dollars paying for someone handing a woman with a hijab of a lip balm. That's your new training regimen at the federal government. In other news, CNN about to lose its liberal edge. As many of you have seen in the news, CNN was recently acquired by a new owner, and though the deal is not finalized, it's clear that changes are coming to CNN as their ratings are in the toilet. And apparently those changes are going to be an attempt to return them to the days when they actually were a news channel instead of an opinion channel. So it looks like the days of guys like Brian Stelter may be numbered, and he might be on the unemployment line soon, as they're looking to get rid of these opinion people like Don Lemon, I suppose, might be on the chopping block. Major changes. Now keep in mind that the entity that's going to take over CNN, one of the guys that runs that group is a guy named John Malone. And now he famously started Liberty, I forgot what the name of it is, not Liberty Finance or Liberty Capital or something like that. He is actually a guy that gave $250,000 for Trump's inauguration. So I'm not even sure, he's not necessarily a right-wing Republican, he's more like a right-leaning libertarian. And I think his big thing is making money. And I don't think he sees making money as, being a outlet for woke politics. So in a year, you may not even recognize CNN anymore. Hear this news. One of the guys that involved in the Kyle Rittenhouse story, he wasn't shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. This is the guy that was one of the people chasing Kyle Rittenhouse, who actually fired the first shot that night. And this guy is Joshua Zeminski. Finally had a court appearance. Believe it or not, he was charged with firing that gunshot behind Kyle Rittenhouse that many believe instigated all the violence that night. But Joshua Zeminski, who has made several court appearances in the last 2 years for his alleged role in the Kenosha riots, this, however, was his first in orange jail garb. That's because Kenosha's longest-serving judge, Bruce Schroeder, remember Judge Schroeder in the Rittenhouse case? Raised Zeminski's bail to $14,000 on January 31st, 2022. the day he was supposed to go to trial. He's been unable to post a large bond and will likely be incarcerated until his trial on March 28th. Ziminski will be standing trial for arson, disorderly conduct, use of a dangerous weapon, and obstruction. He faces a maximum of 3.5 years in prison. Ziminski is accused of starting at least... So it would be interesting if Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty and Ziminski is the one that actually goes to jail. Ziminski is accused of starting at least one fire, that of a construction trailer. He's also the man caught on camera infamously firing the first shot seconds before Kyle Rittenhouse shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum legally. Ziminski appears to have recently shaved his head, further revealing a large tattoo reading Sin, bold on the back of his head. He also has 3 teardrop tattoos and an upside-down crucifix tattooed on his forehead. Now, has he joined a prison gang? I don't know if maybe he's joined a prison gang since he's been incarcerated. It's usually what happens when you get that kind of face tattoo. But look at his wife. Ziminski appears to have recently shaved his head, further revealing that tattoo. His wife, look at her, the difference in her pictures. When she was taken in, she must have been like a drug addict. Because here you can see her cheeks are so drawn in. Clearly, she's got purple hair here. She was clearly not eating when they arrested her here. Here, her face is very full, not gaunt. Clearly, she's been eating well while incarcerated. Looks a lot healthier. Also, she doesn't have quite as pale and gaunt, just a lot better color. Kelly Ziminski, knee done, age 31, top row from 2020, bottom row from prison, more recent. Photos courtesy of Kenosha Sheriff and Wisconsin Department of Corrections. Definitely, I mean, they're much fuller face here than this. I think she might have been. Maybe they were both on drugs. Kelly Ziminski, Joshua's wife. Kelly, is there only one judge in Kenosha? Is this just Judge Schroeder? Does he get every case? Joshua's wife, Kelly Ziminski, was just released from Taycheedah Correctional Institution on February 22nd. She was serving prison time for a probation revocation for multiple misdemeanors, including 3 counts of retail theft, 4 counts of neglecting a child, and 1 count of bail jumping. These are wonderful people. Could you imagine Kyle Rittenhouse fires into a crowd of Antifa and BLM, and everyone he hits is some kind of criminal or piece of shit? 4 counts of neglecting a child and 1 count of bail jumping. She was also sentenced by Judge Schroeder to 7 months of prison for her role in assisting her husband with the rioting on August 25th, 2020. She's been subpoenaed to testify against her husband, Joshua, in his arson trial. Today's hearing was brief on both sides that this is the prosecution, and Ziminski's defense attorney, Michael Barth, said they were ready to proceed. Pinch hitting for T. Claire Binger. Oh, Binger is on this case too? What, is there only one DA in Kenosha? Pinch hitting for Binger today was Assistant District Attorney James Krause. It's Binger and Krause, that's it. They must be the only, it's just ADAs. The judge and attorney Barth estimated that the trial will last 2 days. Jury selection will be Monday, March 28th. I want to see this trial. I want to live stream it. And the trial will begin on March 29th. Attorney Michael Barth representing Joshua Ziminski at his final pretrial appearance. All right, so I'm glad that they let us know about that. So the end of March, we're going to have the Ziminski trial to look forward to. And our old friend Judge Schroeder and Binger, the ADA Binger. All right, so I guess we got to talk a little bit about some of these ridiculous crime stories that are just insane. Insane. This is the most insane story yet, guys. And this one doesn't involve murder, rape, or anything like that. And yet still might be the most insane crime story of the year. I hope you've got a strong stomach. I must warn you in advance. Man smears poop on woman in New York City subway station in sickening video. And there is extensive video of this, my friends. There's this poor woman sitting here on the subway platform, as people do, on the benches. And this man walks up and suddenly just puts a pile of shit in her face. This youth or teen, oh my God. This is the New York City that de Blasio built, guys. And then he continues with it. What is wrong with this city? What is wrong with Democrat-run cities? I don't know. This is what happens, guys, when Democrats run your towns. Don't let it happen. Do not let it happen. What a shit show. A man smeared human feces on a woman's face in an unprovoked rush hour attack inside a Bronx subway station. Sickening new video shows. A 43-year-old victim was sitting on a bench on a southbound platform of the Wakefield 241st Street station. Yeah, not a good place to be. Around 5:15 on February 21st, when a man began walking toward her holding a black plastic bag, according to cops in the clip released Sunday. Then, without saying a word, he smashed the vile contents of the bag in her face, then smeared it on the back of her head. The assailant took off after the attack, and there's no motive there. He didn't rob her. He just walks up to this lady and just puts a big pile of shit in her face. Mayor Eric Adams called the incident a horrific experience for anyone to go through at a press conference Monday afternoon. So, if you find this man, this animal, this piece of garbage, Mayor Adams. Unbelievable. Another winner here. Homeless man busted for gruesome hammer attack at Queens Plaza. Here, this sterling specimen of humanity approaches this woman descending the stairs of the subway from behind, kicks her down the stairs, and proceeds to beat her in the head with a hammer. And fortunately, I believe they blur this stuff out, so you don't have to worry about just anything too graphic here. But as you can see, he's got conking her on the head with a hammer. This the motive apparently is robbery. It looks like he's trying to get the purse away from her, or the bag, the bag she's got. And he tries to make off. He does the Joe Biden stumble up the stairs deal there. So this guy's 57 years old, and it turns out that this homeless hammer-wielding thief, contrary to what AOC would have you believe, apparently giving them free housing is not the solution, because it turns out that his address turns out to be a homeless shelter that was, basically a hotel that was converted into a homeless shelter. So this guy is not sleeping on the street, guys. William Blunt, 57, resides at a Manhattan homeless shelter, arrested on charges of attempted murder, robbery, and assault for allegedly hitting a woman as many as 13 times with a hammer as she's walking down a flight of steps at the entrance to the Queens Plaza subway station. Mind you, that I know that subway station. There is actually a U.S. military recruiting office, like literally right next to that thing. And police said that Blunt lives at 52 William Street in Manhattan, the address of the former Radisson Hotel, which has been converted into a homeless shelter. So this guy has a room in the Radisson Hotel, the former Radisson Hotel. Apparently giving him free housing did not solve the problem. This is another terrible story. And unfortunately, this did not happen in New York, San Francisco, LA, or Seattle, or Portland. Texas high school football coach is chased down by a gang of middle school boys and has his arm broken after he told them to stop doing donuts with their dirt bikes. I mean, look at it. This is crazy. Langham Creek High School coach jumped by youths. Yes, youths.
Christine, witnesses say the middle schoolers attacked that coach, all because he tried to discipline them. And today, the chaotic aftermath of what happened here yesterday continues. A chase and beatdown on the Langham Creek High School campus caught on cell phone video yesterday. Cy-Fair ISD officials say that the attackers are 4 students from Aragon Middle School. Students here at the high school say that the victim is a baseball coach who told the middle school kids that they could not ride dirt bikes on campus.
Later that day, they got arrested, and their older friends threatened to shoot up our school.
Cy-Fair ISD officials say a threat made through social media resulted in beefed up security and safety measures on campus today.
We couldn't walk around unless we had an ID badge. They wouldn't even let us in. I have athletics first period, so I don't have it on, and my teacher wouldn't let me in unless I put it on.
Students say that the coach was not at school today. Cy-Fair ISD officials sent a letter to parents saying that the juveniles who attacked him were taken into custody and will be disciplined according to the code of conduct. Concerned parents,
this just shouldn't be happening, not in our own backyard.
Want swift action.
That just cannot happen. These kids definitely need to get in a whole lot of trouble, and
they won't be. They'll be charged as minors in the revolving door of justice, dude.
I'm just speechless.
Tonight, it's unclear what criminal charges, if any, those juveniles face. The Cy-Fair ISD police investigation continues.
They keep saying that the school to prison pipeline. It's more like the revolving door of justice. They won't get it. They won't catch heavy charges. Everybody knows this. Here we have murdered Uber driver and mother of 4 begged passenger not to kill her.
Dash cam video and all.
So, not content to just rob the woman, this piece of garbage just shot her for no reason.
I have a family. I got a family too. Now drive. Now that's just some of the chilling exchanges captured on dash cam video and audio between a local Uber driver and her alleged killer. Only Channel 11 was there last night when 22-year-old Calvin Crew was
22, another youth, another one of the youths
brought into police headquarters. But we got our hands on court records showing that wasn't even his first arrest this week.
Oh, I'm shocked. It wasn't his first arrest this week. Forget his first arrest. It wasn't his first arrest this week. The youths.
Channel 11's Amy Hudak live tonight at the Allegheny County Jail to explain. Amy.
David, Calvin Crew was actually arrested on Tuesday. This is for an outstanding gun warrant. He was actually arraigned and then released back out.
Outstanding gun warrant. You hear what I mean about revolving door of justice?
To the public. Tonight we're learning some chilling new details about the harrowing trip Christy Spicuzzi had to drive for more than an hour with a gun held to the back of her head.
He was arrested on a gun charge on Tuesday. Before the week's over, he's already committed a robbery and a murder.
They didn't have to kill her. You know, then she didn't have no money.
That's coming from the landlord of Calvin Crew's girlfriend, who says he can't comprehend what happened to Uber driver Christy Spicuzza.
I'm appalled and I'm shocked at that, because to me, that seemed like it's premeditated. I'm being honest with you.
Court paperwork says it all started when Spicuzza picked up Calvin Crew on Brinton Avenue in Pitcairn at 9:13. 20 minutes later, they arrived at his destination, Durham Street in Penn Hills. Police say Crew grabbed Spicuzza's phone. Police say that's when Spicuzza's dash cam footage shows Crew holding a gun to her head. She pleads, quote, "I'm begging you, I have 4 kids." Spicuzza was forced to drive to Wilkinsburg, where Crew is accused of accessing her money transfer apps. At 10:20, Christy's phone puts her on Rosecrest Drive, where her body was found. An autopsy shows a single gunshot wound to the back of her head. Police say her Uber was then seen on license plate readers in North Versailles, where Christy's phone was found. The criminal complaint says Crew spends over an hour at his cousin's house before video shows him dumping the Uber in Pitcairn and getting home after midnight. Lawyer Phil DeLacente says cell towers and video evidence is everywhere, from buildings and street corners to people's cars.
Those all go into these types of investigations and to determine who is culpable. Simply having a weapon in your house stored properly and somebody taking it without your knowledge, it would lend itself for that person not to be charged.
The Northern Regional Police Department says it actually took 13 months for them to be notified that Calvin Crew tried to purchase a gun back in 2020. He was not allowed to possess one because he had actually been convicted of a robbery charge.
Remember, guys, it's already illegal for a felon to purchase a firearm, but it took 13 months for this police department to get notified that he tried to buy a gun. So all the talk that these people make about, you know, passing new gun laws and all that, what difference is it going to make if they don't enforce them? It should already be illegal if he can't own a gun for him to try to buy a gun, and he's apparently no consequence. So when Biden tells you up the State of the Union that he wants to pass tighter gun laws, well, what for? He's not going to enforce those either.
As a juvenile, we're live at the Allegheny County Jail. Amy Hudak.
I mean, they have him on the books already. This guy should have been locked up. Student charged with assault following attack at Lady Island Middle School in Beaufort. Oh, I'm not even sure I could show you this one. This, believe it or not, was first reported as a student a teacher abusing this student. No, this is another student in the class. Apparently, this girl is so much older. She must have been left back so many times that she's just like a teenager in a class of little kids. A middle school student is facing charges after she was caught on video attacking a classmate. Classmate! She's not the teacher. I thought she was a teacher at first. Footage of the incident shows a 6th grade student punching and threatening another 6th grader at the Beaufort County School. The student is heard using profanity towards the girl and threatening to hurt her if she gets up, then telling her when she's allowed to get up and leave the room. Captain George Erdell of the Beaufort Police Department said the pupil will be charged in family court, but did not immediately know the specific charges the child will face. Again, the juvenile criminal system. I can't even show you most of this. I'll show you what happens when she's on the ground, and then she asks her if she can get up. So she's beating the hell out of this little girl. This 6th grader. This girl is old enough to graduate high school, I think. And let's see how this goes from here.
Now put down my mama, boy. I will hurt you. Don't do it again.
Can I get up now, please?
Please stomp your bitch ass face in.
Okay, I'll stop. Please let me get up.
You could go. Bye.
The girl is literally defenseless, helpless on the ground, on her back. And I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is a teenager in a 6th grade class, unsupervised apparently. Here we have 12-year-old charged in murder carjacking of elderly Asian man in Philadelphia. Stop Asian hate. 2 teens and a boy, more youths. 2 teens and a boy of only 12 have been charged with murder and carjacking in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The 3 are facing murder charges for the beating death of an elderly Asian man, Chung-Yan Chin. The carjacking was in the Mayfair neighborhood. After the beating, Chin was taken to the hospital where he was revealed to have a brain injury as well as facial fractures. And I guess he died in the hospital. Yeah, I remember reporting this story. Didn't realize the guy had died.
Gracie, you argued that the judge who let this suspect stay in the U.S. despite his known criminal history bears some responsibility for the rape of this woman. Talk to us about your opinion.
That's not even the same case. Talk about some illegal alien rapist. Philadelphia prosecutors alleged that the 3 went up to Chin, knocking him to the ground, punching him, kicking him in the face before driving off in Chin's car, a Toyota Camry. Prosecutors say the youths approached the victim on the 3000 block of Teasdale Street, knocked him to the ground, punched him, and kicked him in the face before stealing his vehicle. The 12-year-old suspect's name has not been released due to his age, but he's been charged with murder as an adult. I'll believe it when I see it. Northeast Philadelphia resident John Nussling, 18, was charged with Chin's murder, and an arrest warrant has been issued for the other teen allegedly involved, Kiam Muhammad, who is 16. Moving on. This one was the only thing that these guys messed up in. They had the bad luck to pick an off-duty cop when they tried to carjack him in New York. 2 men allegedly tried to carjack New York City cop, shoot him in the shoulder. 2 men who allegedly shot an off-duty cop are charged with attempted murder. That's not related. 2 men were busted for allegedly trying to carjack an off-duty New York City police officer, triggering a wild gunfight with cops Tuesday in Queens. Chad Colley, 19, and Jayare Robinson, 18, were two more youths. The 2 youths as our cousin Vinny would say. The two youths were arraigned Thursday in Queens Criminal Court on first-degree attempted murder and other charges after the attempted car heist that left an officer wounded. This was a brazen carjacking attempt that all too easily could have ended in yet another tragedy for the New York Police Department and all New Yorkers, said Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz in a statement. This blatant disregard for human life must be answered with certain justice. Let's see here. Below is a photo of the gun that was recovered from the scene of tonight's shooting. The suspect shot towards responding officers, striking the bumper of their police vehicle. Right. Not much else to the story. Apparently the cop fired back and saved his own life. I think this is the cop getting out of Jamaica Hospital. You can see they lined up to applaud him and support him as he leaves the hospital. Shot in the shoulder, no life-threatening injuries. I think the prognosis is he'll be okay. As Jussie Smollett once said, he fought the fuck back. Alright. Teen rapper charged with shooting New York Police Department cop in custody again for violating probation. So here's a guy. He's charged with shooting a cop. Don't ask me how. He wasn't in prison. He wasn't locked up. And he gets locked up for violating probation. So let's see how this happens. 16-year-old rapper charged with shooting an NYPD cop in the Bronx, back in custody on a probation violation just 1 week after posting bail. 16-year-old reputed gangbanger allegedly shot an NYPD cop in the Bronx, back in custody on a probation violation. Cameron Williams, up-and-coming rapper, goes by the stage name C Blue, ordered back to the Crossroads Juvenile Center in Brooklyn because the gun he allegedly used to shoot the cop violated the terms of his probation from an earlier case. Williams was on probation in 2020 on a 2020 gun case when he allegedly shot into a scuffle with police officers in Belmont and shot the 27-year-old cop. The teen was hit with assault and weapons charges in that case, with Bronx prosecutors asking that the troubled teen be held without bail pending his next court date. Then this insane Bronx acting Supreme Court judge named Dennis Boyle, I think I did a little segment on him a few live streams ago, set his bond at $250,000, which Williams posted on January 27th, reportedly with an advance he received after signing a recording contract with Interscope Records. However, the teen was picked up again and hauled into a family court hearing, during which he was ordered back to the juvenile facility. It's unclear why he wasn't hit with the probation violation while he was in custody following his arrest in the police shooting. Remember all this white privilege nonsense and all that? So here in New York City, you can shoot a cop and be out on bail, even though you shot the cop with a gun in violation of your probation. So there's your systemic racism in action. This one is just weird. Naked man arrested after allegedly opening fire on bus. Where did he hide the gun if he was naked? A 21-year-old man, another youth, Oroville, California, was acting erratically, opened fire inside a Greyhound bus in Northern California, killing a 43-year-old woman and wounding 4 others before he was arrested naked inside a Walmart after getting into a fight. Asadi Coleman started shooting at passengers as they exited the Los Angeles Mountain. You know, I'm starting to wonder which place is more dangerous. You know, the United States or Ukraine. This is crazy. Stopped at a convenience store in the city of Oroville Wednesday night. Butte County Sheriff Corey Honea said Thursday, "This is a horrific tragedy that was visited upon our community." I mean, just the description of that crime alone. He's naked, he climbs in a bus, he kills a woman, wounds 4 others, goes to a Walmart and gets into a fight. I don't understand. What is... There's no obvious motive behind his crimes, just but random mayhem. This is like some Grand Theft Auto shit. It's like we're in a simulation and some random kid is controlling this guy as, you know, Grand Theft. Oh, let me just run around with no clothes on. Oh, there's a bus. I'll go on there and shoot some people on the bus. Oh shit, let me go to this Walmart and start fighting some dude in the Walmart. That's the only thing that makes sense. We're in a video game. We're in Grand Theft Auto. This, actually, I think I did this story already once. Utah Good Samaritan lets homeless man shower in her apartment and he slits her throat. Yeah, I talked about this before. Guy told the woman he was homeless. She let him in her apartment so he could take a shower, and he killed her. What more to say? Here, this is again sad. Here's Los Angeles. A woman being beaten, beaten and stabbed and robbed for her Nike tennis shoes. A pack of youths assaulting this woman so they could steal her sneakers. What the fuck? You're getting arrested. Just imagine a pack of youths just attacked a woman for her shoes. Well, here's one woman that did not become a victim. New Orleans mom, an Iraq War veteran, pulls gun on man trying to enter her car, telling him she's locked and loaded. Sharice Taylor recounted, "If I have to pull this trigger, that's what I have to do." She's been paying attention, guys. This is one woman who's been paying attention. A Louisiana mom, an Air Force veteran, pulled a gun on a man who tried to get into her car while she was sitting in gridlock traffic with her 2-year-old son. "You shouldn't have to navigate your own city like a war zone. It's un-American," Sharice Taylor, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, told WDSU. "The crime is out of control and it's terrifying. At this point, having to use the same tactics in an American city that you use in Iraq and Afghanistan simply to navigate through the city, it's scary, and I'm not the only mom feeling this way." Taylor said she was on her way to pick up her husband Friday in New Orleans when she got stuck in traffic on Interstate 10. While navigating the backup, a group of people in a truck motioned to her to let them into her lane. She let them in, but soon after, a man came up to the passenger door and began pulling on the handle. So as he comes up, he's close, he's pretty aggressive, trying to get the car door open, makes eye contact with me. He's still trying to get it open a couple times. She picked up her gun and recalled warning him it's locked and loaded. The suspect ran off and she was not forced to fire her weapon, though she said she was ready to do so in order to protect her son. Alright, so there's one lady paying with her eyes open. This one is just shameful. This is just the shameful category. It's not in the United States. This is actually in Austria. Woman charged with bodily harm for stabbing Syrian migrant who tried to rape her in Vienna. This was February 14th, 2022. Vienna police are being accused of hiding a rape case involving a Syrian migrant after only making the case public 3 days after it occurred, only after a request for information from the Austrian press. Police have controversially charged a female victim for bodily harm for stabbing her attacker despite the man being accused by the police for trying to rape her. Shortly before midnight on Tuesday last week, the 22-year-old woman attempted to enter the front door of her apartment building on Schönbrunner Strasse in the district of Medellin when she was attacked out of nowhere. Police say a Syrian migrant pushed the woman into the courtyard, immediately grabbed intimate parts of her body, and pushed his victim to the ground, according to Austrian newspaper Kronen Zeitung. But then the rape attempt took a dramatic turn. The woman with presence of mind managed to pull a knife out of her purse. She stabbed her attacker several times with it until he let go of the victim. He then grabbed her purse and ran away badly injured. The perpetrator was discovered by the police a short time later with cuts and stab wounds at a nearby subway station and taken to a hospital. After being provided with medical aid, the 24-year-old man was arrested. He is a Syrian asylum seeker who, when arrested, had alcohol in his blood and a small amount of marijuana in his pocket. The Syrian initially denied the crime. The Vienna police made the case public on Friday afternoon after a 3-day delay in a press release, but only at the request of Austrian newspaper Kronen Zeitung, which was informed of the case by attentive readers. Some Austrians are accusing the police of hiding the information, which the police department denies. In addition, the public prosecutor's office has charged the woman for bodily harm. An absolutely insensitive approach, said her lawyer Michael Dorr, who said the charges are absurd and that the victim is still traumatized. Here's a woman who, I guess, wanted some extra ranch sauce and decided it would be okay to climb through the drive-thru window into the employee-only area of the fast food joint. I don't know what place this is. And let's look at this.
How she got in there?
She wants her ranch. She crawled in there barefoot through the drive-thru.
You better get my shit. That's what I thought. They get that ranch. Did she climb through the window? She didn't climb through the window. Did she climb through the window? She climbed through the window. Oh, wait for me.
You know, a civilization this degenerate cannot long survive, guys. Cannot long survive. This one is a bit of a white pill. Mom of Chicago train robbery suspect recognizes him, drags him to the police station. He was turned in by his mommy. The suspect, sought in a Chicago train robbery, has been identified as a Loyola University student recognized by his own mother. So in this case, he actually was a good boy and a college student. Recognized by his own mother, who reportedly dragged him into the police station to turn himself in. Zion Brown, an 18-year-old, there's the Utes again, an 18-year-old sophomore at Loyola University, Chicago, has been charged with armed robbery after allegedly stealing $100 in cash at gunpoint from a Metro train conductor Tuesday afternoon. After recognizing photos of a masked suspect seen glancing into a station security camera shared by police and reported by the media as her son, Brown's mother brought him into a police station in Calumet City for him to turn himself in, CWB Chicago reported. The detail was revealed at Brown's bond hearing, where he was represented by a private defense attorney who argued his client was hungry and was looking for something to eat. So the AOC theory, he went for the AOC defense. He was hungry and he wanted to eat. Brown reportedly attended class after the armed holdup, and his lawyer asked the judge to remember her own days as a hungry college kid. You know, don't you remember your days in college, guys? Going on armed robberies, for lunch. Brown reportedly attended class after the armed holdup, and his lawyer asked the judge to remember her own days as a hungry college kid in determining his bail. Cook County Judge Mariam Ahmad ordered Brown held without bail, Loyola Phoenix reported, citing the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. According to CWB, Ahmad rejected the defense attorney's argument, saying as a hungry college kid, she herself would have never thought to rob someone, and granted the state's request for no bail.
A young man who shared...
I'll leave you with this one as the last story for this NeoUnrealist is the insane story that, yes, Batman and Superman jailed for multiple offenses. Legit story. This actually happened.
A young man who shares his name with a superhero or two has ironically ended up at the wrong end of the law himself. Batman Superman was jailed 2 years and 9 months for theft, housebreaking, and taking drugs. Batman stole his elder brother's ATM card and withdrew a total of $850. He also broke into SGF Billiards and Marketing at Depot Road in the wee hours of the morning and stole $200.
That was it. The dude's name is Batman Superman. So Batman Superman got locked up for stealing. Oh my lord. Yes, the Joker was right. The Joker was right. I don't know, guys. We've got war in the Ukraine. We've got war in the streets of the United States Democrat-run cities. We've got Batman and Superman committing robbery. It's the end. It's the end times. We have Canadians emptying out the banks in Canada because of Justin Trudeau's insanity. You can't trust your money in a Canadian bank. They've become a third world country now. I don't know what else to tell you guys, but I've been yammering on for like over 3 hours now. I'll give you guys a break. You're probably as tired of hearing my voice as I am. We'll see you again tomorrow. So that's going to be it for this NeoUnrealist. If you want to help the channel, do me a favor, hit like for this video. Leave a comment below. Mash down that subscribe button if you're not already subbed to the channel. Click on that notification bell beside it and put it on the all setting to keep up with the newer content. If you want to contribute directly to the channel, you want to toss your hard-earned dollars into the tip jar. Follow links below to Patreon, Subscribe Star, PayPal, whichever one you like using. Or if you watch this on BitChute, you can just click on the green tip pledge button on the video player there. Make it very easy. Most importantly, guys, thank you for watching.